It's a big day for us here at the Rich Eisen Show.
Turn those machines back on!
Guess who's back?
Oh my gosh.
It's Rich Eisen.
You know what I am? Knowledgeable.
Chris Brockman.
Rich, everything that I do during the show is work-related.
That's so false.
And Mike Del Tufo. They are back.
Got it.
The Rich Eisen Show. Today's guests, senior writer from the MMQB, Albert Breer, Colorado Rockies outfielder Charlie Blackmon, plus NCAA Chief Medical Officer Dr. Brian Hainline. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Rich Eisen Show. I could not be more thrilled to be here in front of this microphone on NBCSN, soon to be on Peacock, on NBC Sports. Thrilled to be on Sirius, and also I want to welcome from Southern California, from Baja California, all the way up damn near to, all right, I shouldn't say this, up to Canada. That's how long it goes. That's how huge the signal for the mightier 1090 goes. We're thrilled to be first up and first off on a legendary radio station in Southern California. That reboot, this show, back after a hiatus. When I said goodbye on June 26th, here we are. On August 17th.
Yeah, 17th.
Here we are, and thrilled to be here. Me here.
You're there.
In my position. I'm here. You're there. Chris Brockman. Good to see you, Christopher.
Anything happened while I was gone?
I don't know.
Anything happened while I was gone?
I don't
What
know.
happened?
How are you, Michael Del Tufo?
I love Tom Brady now. He's my favorite.
Just to describe for our radio audience, Chris Brockman, thrilled about the return of the National Football League. Proudly wearing the number one of Tony Franklin, who wore it back in 1984 for the New England Patriots. Thrilled to be rocking the Tony Franklin one. I'm sorry, does that say Newton on the back?
Oh, it sure does. We are official.
Look at that.
He's in.
Cam Newton.
Super Bowl back on.
Yeah.
Well, you know, here's what we missed. First of all, again, my desk is as I left it, meaning my best dad ever placard that I got here from my kids for Father's Day. Still here. I'm still the best dad ever.
I was just going to say, after all that time,
After all that time at home,
Still holding it down.
proudly proclaimed best dad ever. Still.
We have to take a poll now.
Exactly. Don't take a straw poll. Okay. And by the way, good to see TJ Jefferson over there. Rich Eisen Show social media Grand Maester. He will be monitoring all of our social media feeds at Rich Eisen Show on Twitter, Instagram, and we say hello to our 454s in the YouTube stream, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. We are here for this week, and throughout today's show, I will explain what our future holds and how you can watch us on Peacock. Streaming service, the Peacock streaming service that is up and running right now. We will be streaming on it starting a week from today, but I'll get fully into details. 844-204-RICH is still the number for you to dial us. You want to talk about anything that we're going to be discussing over the next 3 hours, please do so. 844-204-RICH is the number to dial. And on NBCSN, we'll be taking you up to the middle of our third hour to get you ready for the drop of pucks between Tampa and Columbus, between Tampa Bay and Columbus.
Playoffs have been crazy.
So
they played a 5 overtime game the other day.
Here's what we have missed and where we are right now and where we were when we left. When we left, the NBA had announced its bubble, had announced that they were going to restart. We knew how they were going to do it. And we knew who was going into the bubble, and we were kind of having our fun about what hotels they were staying in Disney World, and would you really want to hang in Disney World for 3 months? And is it going to work out? As of right now, we are back on the air, and it has been a spectacular success. A spectacular success, showing how if we are smart as a society, and we can test frequently, and we can be smart, how to, obviously we can't bubble ourselves as a country, but if you are smart and you have a plan and you can contact trace if you test enough, and you can be smart about who comes in and who doesn't, you can be successful. And today we return, and the NBA just had a fun run up to the playoff bubble extravaganza in which Devin Booker and the Suns didn't lose and almost made the playoffs. And once again, this country, for some reason, doesn't pay attention to this guy and this team because they play in a sleepy hamlet, if you will, in the Pacific Northwest region.
Sleepy Hamlet, our first fantasy name.
He is, can you call him the most underrated or least known all-star anymore? Because Damian Lillard just showed you what he can do. He ended Russell Westbrook's Oklahoma City tenure, waved bye-bye to him and the rest of the team last year.
Sure did.
And then now are just like, hey, look at Damian Lillard do what he's doing. This is what he does. And McCollum and Nurkic. And guess who made the dagger three? Carmelo Anthony, the ghost of Carmelo Anthony, present and future. And now the Blazers are taking on the Lakers in a playoff first round that begins today with a quadruple header on ESPN. And in the middle of this show, in the middle of our second hour, is when tip-off between the third-seeded Nuggets and sixth-seeded Jazz go down. Rockets, Thunder, Clippers, Mavs, Lakers, Blazers. I would have essentially drawn it up like this. I really would have. I know we wanted to see one of the rookies in, whether it was Morant or Zion. This is spectacular.
Blazers Lakers is way more fun.
The East, the East will pay attention to.
In the finals?
I think like 3-4 weeks from now, there might be some burst of interest in activity.
Maybe.
Man, oh man, oh man. Nets, Raptors, Sixers, Celtics, Nuggets, Rockets tip off today. And again, it's just been a pleasure to watch. A pleasure to watch. And the players are into it. I know there's no fans except for the virtual ones that are cheering in on Zoom or whatever. Just spectacular. Couldn't be more excited about that. When we left in late June, the NHL, we didn't know the where and we didn't know the when. We knew the who and we knew the how. We come back today, and there is a bubble in 2 spots north of our border, and it's been a spectacular success.
Really,
it's been a ton of fun.
It's been really
every
fun,
game.
man.
I did not know when we left. Every game had to go in overtime. Didn't know that.
They wrote that into the.
Didn't see that.
Yeah,
Missed it
in the bylaws.
Might have been July 4th week when I was truly tapping out in our hiatus. Every game's got to go to overtime. A spectacular success. Total blast to watch. With all due respect to Tuukka Rask, I don't care. There's no fans. It feels intense, and it does appear like the NBA. Every player's into it. And today we return a quadruple header of round 1 action that's already been underway, and it all starts with the Lightning and Blue Jackets coming up at the 3 o'clock hour Eastern time. In the middle of our final hour, we'll send you to the pregame show on NBCSN. All 4 games on NBCSN. Coyotes and the Lanch, as we used to call them back in the day at ESPN. Bruins, Hurricanes, Blues, Canucks. Remember we used to call them the Lanch?
I don't.
Yes, we did.
I don't.
That was when Patrick Waugh could not hear anybody carping at him because he had too many rings in his ear, as he said.
If Tom Cruise did a movie called Avalanche, he might call it The Lanch.
The Lanch. What would you just call it, Lanch? You know, when I did Lanch, it's been a spectacular success. We're back and thrilled to be leading you to a quadruple header right here on NBCSN.
Booyah.
When we left on June 26th, baseball had just concluded shooting itself in the foot, trying to figure out how many games to play. And we saw this whole monster catalog of protocols that we had no idea how baseball was going to pull it off. And as we found out, they didn't even attempt to pull some of it off. Remember when we left where the players were supposed to not be in the dugout, but supposed to be in the stands?
Sitting in the stands.
Sit in the same way that NBA players are socially distant on the bench. They're supposed to be sitting in the stands. No spitting, no nothing.
Yep.
I mean, I don't want to be negative about it because I am thrilled to be watching it.
Thrilled.
I'm loving it, especially since I returned today. When we left, the Red Sox had no wins, and I come back today, they still have no wins. or I'm sorry, the number of wins, a little bit more than 0. Let's just put it this way. The zeros that they put up almost equal to the number of zeros in the contract of Mookie Betts that he's earning every penny on.
Well, we have 2 more wins than championships in the last 15 years.
Aha! Look at the 6-16 Red Sox as the Yankees just completed its second consecutive series sweep of Boston. Have the Yankees ever gone an entire year beating the Red Sox in every game? Has that happened?
Are you going to talk about the postseason record against Boston and New York now?
I'm just talking about the now.
Oh.
I don't know if you understand the construct of this segment is then when we left, now,
today,
when we return. That's the construct of our segment here.
I have moved on to football, people. I am not thinking about this
the
baseball
Yankees
season.
they don't have Stanton. They don't have Judge now. LeMahieu's out.
I mean, the Red Sox are so bad.
Okay.
I'm going to need Wednesday off. I'm starting against Toronto.
But the thing is that I'm thrilled to be talking baseball here, okay? And how well some of the players are playing and others are not. And there was a moment in between the then and the now where it looked like there wouldn't be a now when the Miami Marlins had 18 players test positive for COVID-19. 18. And they went a grand total of 9 days without playing a single baseball game. 18 Marlins. And the St. Louis Cardinals, in the meantime, had 18 total members of their organization test positive for COVID. 18. And the Cardinals finally returned to action after a 17-day absence this past weekend. And the Cardinals right now are 3.5 games behind the Cubs. Here's the small problem. The Cubs are 13-6, having played 19 games. The Cardinals are 4-4.
Yeah, that's a
They played 8 games.
That's a problem.
Looking in the NL East, the Marlins are tied for first. They're tied for first with the Atlanta Braves. The issue is the Braves are 13-10. They played 23 games. And the Marlins have played 15 games, 9-6. That's a statistical. I mean, honestly, we're going to have to pull out slide rules and protractors. And how does it work? The Cardinals right now, in order to get up to speed, have to play 52 games in the next 41 days because baseball, again, spent too much time shooting itself in the foot, figuring out how many games to play. If you started earlier, you could absorb this sort of stuff. Certainly when the protocols, I had somebody high up on the Major League Baseball food chain say to me this weekend, asking me what the protocols are when one person tests positive, as somebody from the Cincinnati Reds apparently did, canceling games. And he's asking me, who's been on hiatus for 6 weeks, what's the protocol when somebody tests positive in Major League Baseball? He doesn't know.
Seems like that's a problem.
The Cardinals, in order to play this week, do you know what they did? Because they played in Chicago. You know what they did? They rented 41 separate vehicles for 41 different members of their organization to drive themselves to Chicago to make sure nobody was around anybody until the last possible moment when they had to play baseball. That happened. So my question is, did somebody get a little hoopty and somebody got the Lambo? Like, was there some sort of like rent-a-car stratosphere here? Like you show up,
Rent-a-car stratosphere.
No, seriously, like right, it's rent-a-car stratosphere. You know what I mean? Like, is when you get like, you know, that standard 4-door with the roll-down window. Does that mean bring your playbook in Major League Baseball? Like enjoy the weekend in Chicago because we're going to need that one back.
But they're not even getting sent down. They're going to the training facility or something or whatever.
You know, again, you've heard the phrase, a long-time phrase about how a team doesn't have any chemistry in baseball. 25 players, 25 cabs, right? That they all disperse. Or when A-Rod played with the Yankees, it was A-Rod and 24, supposedly. Or the future owner of the Mets, I should say, as it looks. Anyway, that said, I am still enjoying all of Major League Baseball. And the question I'm seeing with what baseball's doing when they're not in a bubble, and word is that they're thinking of bubbling up for the playoffs, which would be great. Figure out a place and bubble up for the playoffs. This is now the question, what happens in the NFL? What is the protocol in the NFL if somebody tests positive with significance? Okay, you can't make up the equivalent of 52 games in 41 days in the NFL. If somebody misses 2 weeks, that's that.
Miss 2 weeks.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like that,
right.
That'll be that, right? If somebody misses the equivalent of whatever 17 days is in Major League Baseball, what would that be for? That would be about 2 weeks of missing 2 games in the NFL. What happens? Good news is, so far, when we left in the National Football League, we were like, okay, this is going to happen, right? Here we are. We return. Today is the end of the 3-week, if you will, ramp-up period to get players into the facilities healthy. Keep the facilities locked down to make sure everybody is healthy. And give everybody that 3-week heads up. Hey, when you go home, stay home. And when you come to work, don't try to sneak your girlfriend in as a member of your team like somebody in the Seattle Seahawks did, because guess what? Your ass is out. Mind blown on that one. Mind blown on that one. Okay?
I can't say all the thoughts I'm thinking right now.
Wow.
All the jokes I've got.
But I'm kind of making light of the very serious subject here.
Yeah.
That you can't do what Zach Plesac and Clevenger apparently did for the Indians. Mike Clevenger did for the Indians. Right? When you go home, stay home. Netflix and chill. And then if you are doing the Netflix and chill, make sure it's the rotation is as tightened as possible. If I may say. Because we're one big NFL family here, and we're not bubbling up. We're creating as much of a bubble atmosphere in the facilities, but we're not bubbling up outside of it. And if you stay healthy and you stay vigilant, we got a shot. Because as of today, when all 32 teams are allowed to put pads on, as of today, 15 players out of a possible 2,500 plus are on the COVID-19 list in the NFL. That's it. That's it. And we'll talk about it with Albert Breer. Oh, and by the way, when we left, there was such a thing as the Washington Redskins. Today, they're the Washington football team with the first ever African-American team president named, and Jason Wright, who spent 7 years in the NFL. Congratulations to him.
Love it.
Talk about things changing. Talk about it with Albert Breer. Look who's on the program. Charlie Blackmon's on the program, an actual real live Major League Baseball player who, by the way, leads the MLB, leads Major League Baseball in average. Guy's hitting 466. He's raking.
That's good.
He, by the way, had coronavirus. And that was after we spoke to him. Last time we chatted with him, remember he said that he hopes that the politics stay out of baseball, that he just wants to play. Well, politics landed in baseball.
Sure did.
And now we're playing baseball, and man, Chuck Nasty is raking. He'll be on the show at the top of our second hour. And look who's joining us in the third hour. The chief medical officer of the NCAA, Dr. Brian Hainline, who appeared on CNN after midnight Saturday, sort of like pulled a Mike Del Tufo Friday night music show type performance where you don't expect it. Apparently, he's just like you now, Mike. He showed up sober, and he was on CNN. You wake up Sunday morning, it's like, oh, the chief medical officer of the NCAA appeared on CNN at 12:30 a.m. Sunday morning. And basically said the following, quote, "The pathway to play sports is so exceedingly narrow right now, everything would have to line up perfectly," adding, "If testing stays as it is, there's no way we could go forward with sports." And when we left, we were wondering, how's college football going to do it? Because the haves might be able to have the money and the health care and the health facilities on campus and the protocols to play. And then the have-nots, the smaller universities, might not. So the Big Ten basically said, we're going to have a conference-only schedule. And then put out the schedule where Michigan and Ohio State played in the middle of October. And then a week later, we're not playing. What happened? What happened? Pac-12 did the same thing. SEC, ACC, and Big 12 are like, we're going to give it a try. How can they give it a try and the Big 10 and the Pac-12 not? And what is the Pac-12 and Big 10 hearing medically that caused their school presidents to say, done? That the SEC, ACC, and Big 12 think is not that significant, or it's something that's surmountable, or it's something that could be protocoled properly. How is that possible? Well, we'll ask the chief medical officer of the NCAA when he joins us. And let's take a break because Albert Breer is going to be first up. I would like your phone calls at 844-204-RICH as well. Albert Breer talking about what's going on in the NFL and college football when we come back. Okay, so we're on break right now on NBC SN and also on our radio partners as well.
Yes.
Are we on Sirius XM? How is this working right now?
I think we're on Sirius XM.
We're
And we're on our YouTube, and we're on our YouTube stream.
YouTube and Sirius.
Mighty 1090 selling.
Yep.
On their first commercial break of returning and turning their machines back on. Okay.
I like that they're mightier.
Damn straight they are.
I could actually hear them right now.
I mean, we're on it.
I can tell you what commercial they're playing.
Oh,
That's okay.
Okay.
don't.
So, again, I will address this over and over and over and over again to our loyal YouTube audience that you stuck with us in March and April and May and June. And I said, hey, we're tapping out, took a hiatus, and we essentially were striking business deals to stay alive.
Making moves.
There's just no other way to put it. And so our friends at NBCSN hooked us up with our new friends at Peacock. And we're going to start streaming on Peacock TV every single day on August 24th, 1 week from today. And I ask all of you, please download the app. We are free there. Free. You can watch us for bupkis. We're in front of the old paywall, as they say.
Yep.
Go to peacock.com, to peacocktv.com to get the app. Download the app. You can watch us there. It is an amazing, amazing site. And I'm not just saying that because they're our partners. It's so easy to use. It really is remarkable.
Yes.
And it's groundbreaking. It is the only streaming site with a channels page. We will be on after Dan Patrick once again. We'll be hooked up with DP again. Pro Football Talk will be on there as well. They're creating programming around our show as well. PeacockTV.com, download the app. Now, if you're sitting overseas right now and you're like, Rich, and cursing at me in your language, we're talking to Peacock about potentially geotagging overseas the ability for you to keep watching us on YouTube. We're talking about it. We're going to try and figure this thing out, essentially, is what we're saying. But domestically, here in the United States, we will be off of YouTube streaming live 1 week from today. We're here all week to basically hang with you and let you know where we're going to be and respectively ask you to please come join us to watch us live. We're still going to be putting clips on our YouTube page, which can be found in on the NBC Sports YouTube page. We're going to be with the old sub channel. But we're still around. You're going to watch our clips on YouTube. It's just our live stream will be only available on Peacock. And again, the app is free. Get it on your phone, desktop. It's amazing. On any mobile device, go get the app. We would greatly appreciate it and appreciate your patience for hanging with us. And you could still call us. You could still give us crap for my Uber rating and all sorts of things of that nature. All right, we're back on NBCSN in a second. Back on NBC SN, Mightier 1090, as well as Sirius XM Channel 211, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so lots to discuss with this gent. His MMQB column, latest, is just as much must-read material as he always writes. My longtime friend from NFL Network as well, SI's. Albert Breer back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Albert?
I'm good. How you doing, Rich? How's the new environment, I guess?
You know what?
Right?
It's everything. I'm just looking around. Everything's fine. It's just interesting. Chris Brockman is wearing the number 1 of Tony Franklin back in the day for the New England Patriots. All of a sudden, he's such a big fan of the number 1 from the Patriots jersey, Albert. It's amazing.
You a big fan? You a big fan of the number 1 too? Like a certain quarterback who might be wearing number 1?
I couldn't be more excited. I mean, we've been giving teams the number 1 for a long time, Albert.
My
so
word.
It's good to finally have a great number 1 on the roster.
Well, we got a number 1 that I think all of us can root for right now, right, Rich?
Well, you know what? Who is that a reference to the guy who wears number 1 at The Ohio State University who's trying to fight for Big Ten football to somehow return?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think this would give you a chance to be a fan of Justin Fields, even if it's only temporary.
Well, let's start here first, Albert, because obviously the Big Ten and the Pac-12 saying we'll see you in January significantly affects, at the very least, when we're talking professional football, the non-playing talent evaluation portion of the NFL calendar. So the Big Ten and the Pac-12, as well as whatever the SEC, Big 12, and ACC decide what to do, impacts the NFL and will be on your radar screen and everybody else in the NFL information business. What are you hearing right now? Is this a possibility that what Justin Fields is doing? By the way, Michigan Wolverine parents apparently created a Twitter page today at Wolverine Family just to post a letter that they are demanding a sit-down virtually with Kevin Warren of the Big Ten, the commissioner, as well as the school president of Michigan. They want answers about what they base their decision on. Is there any there here?
Well, I think it's interesting at the very least. You know, I haven't talked to some people at those schools. It sure sounds like the problem isn't so much with the decision itself as it is with the lack of communication and the lack of reasoning. And, you know, they really felt like, I guess the best way you can put it is Charlie Brown with Lucy pulling the football away with the way the schedule came out last week, or I guess 2 weeks ago now, just 5-6 days in front of the season getting canceled. And so, I think you've seen it from Ohio State parents, from Penn State parents, from Iowa parents, Nebraska parents, Michigan parents. I think those 5 schools are the ones right now. They just want answers. They want, reason why the Big Ten can't go forward and the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 can. And there's a lot on the line for a lot of these kids, and it's not just the kids who are going to the NFL. It's, the fifth-year seniors, the guys who may never play football again. And I think really that's what the biggest thing I think they want is to know that their kids were a priority in this decision, and that it wasn't just about liability. And I think above all else, they want to know that all the options to play the season in the fall were exhausted before this move was made, because I know that there's a lot of skepticism in those schools about that part of it. They felt like there was more that could have been done to try to get the season played in the fall.
Well, I guess, with news coming out about testing, the new saliva test that the NBA had been using with Yale, and it got FDA approval this past week, and it's been talked about either it's a game changer or a game modifier, depending on how I guess well-versed you are on all of this, and that I guess the conversation is that what the Big Ten and the Pac-12 did was premature, unless you read up about the apparent health report that the school presidents got. The Pac-12 presidents essentially told Pete Thamel that it was over. It was open and shut what they heard. Yeah. So what are you hearing on that front?
Well, I'll tell you what, Rich. Before all of this, before the last 6 months, I had no idea doctors disagree with each other as much as they do.
Right.
Like, it is unbelievable, like how massive the disagreement can be. I can just tell you, and I'm not a college football reporter. I know a lot of people in that level of the game, but I don't cover it day to day like somebody like Pete does. What I can tell you is, at the NFL level, it's, the way that they're combating it is through, I like the constant testing, of course, and the daily testing is an important piece of it, and then following up with heart scans, with EKGs, with echoes, with all that sort of stuff. So if there is a problem, they'll catch it really, really, really quickly. And I think part of the issue at the college level has been one of resources. Like, your Michigan or Ohio State or your Clemson or your Alabama can afford to put the resources behind it to create something close, not maybe exactly like, but something close to what the NFL is doing. Whereas, can, say, a Minnesota do that? Can, say, a Rutgers do that? Can a Pitt do that? Can a Mississippi State do that? I think that's sort of, been part of the issue at the college level. And the thing about the saliva test that is, I think, really important, it's how quick the result gets turned around. It's instant, right? And then B, how cheap it is. And I've seen numbers where it's like $4 or $5 a test. And so I think the accessibility and the ability to constantly test athletes, that's why this is a game changer. Because if you're testing guys more consistently, and if you can do it because it's a little cheaper and it's more accessible, well, then that changes everything. Because that means, if you're doing it every day, you're going to catch it before you put a kid who has this heart condition out on the field. And I will say this, Rich, my wife is a cardiac nurse.
Yep.
This is a very serious condition. Myocarditis is a very serious condition. It's not to be taken lightly. So I think the risk would be, and it's not something you don't need a pre-existing condition to get it. Like it can, like COVID can. It's been proven COVID can lead to this condition. You don't need something pre-existing for it to happen. I think the key is as is the case with a lot of other things that pop up, with doctors who deal with football players, the key is catching it instantly. And if you can catch it instantly, that mitigates a lot of the problem.
Albert Breer is the MMQB here on the Rich Eisen Show. A couple more COVID-related questions for you. First one, again, just to tie up this college NFL situation, for the lack of a better phrase, is what are the conversations within the NFL offices right now about moving the combine and moving the draft to at least accommodate all these kids that might play in January, February, and March, and also if the entire college football community comes to that conclusion eventually.
Right. So the first thing you want to remember, the NFL wants to help college football. College football is great for the NFL. There's three real reasons for that. Number one, it's a free minor league. And the expense of a minor league, the difficulty in monetizing a minor league, the NFL doesn't want any part of that. So the system they have where the players get like world-class level coaching, get developed for 3 years, and get delivered to them at 21, 22 years old, they don't want to mess with that. Number two, the way that the players are marketed. Like Johnny Manziel and Tim Tebow, say what you will about guys like that, those guys were stars when they got to the NFL. And that brings me to the third point, which is, the college football really is the foundation for the biggest event in the NFL's offseason calendar, the draft. If college football wasn't so popular, then the draft wouldn't have the sort of motor that it does with the public. And so, college football is great for the NFL. The NFL wants to help college football. And so I think they're willing to go to a certain distance to try and help them. I know some people have been in touch with some guys at the NFL office. And I would tell you that the people in college football that are working on this, I know there's some individual coaches in the Big Ten that are working on this too. They're working on a plan that would work for everybody if they can't play in the fall. So, that could be a January, February schedule playing in dome stadiums with the NFL Combine moved back and the NFL Draft moved back to accommodate those kids. So those kids wouldn't have to choose between going to the Combine or going to their pro day and playing through their season. And so I can tell you the NFL is amenable to trying to work with college football to get a season in and try to do what's best for all the athletes.
And then there's the question about protocols in the NFL and what happens if somebody tests positive or two, right? Let's just say something that has struck or stricken the Miami Marlins and the St. Louis Cardinals happens in the NFL. What is the plan for that right now, Albert?
So the one thing they've talked about is kind of forming a committee that would report to Roger Goodell of people who maybe aren't connected with teams. So obviously, you take any competitive issues out of it. That would make those sorts of decisions. I can tell you, like, a lot of teams wanted hard and fast, wanted some hard and fast standards. Like, okay, like we have X number of players that get it, that constitutes an outbreak, and X number of players get it, that, necessitates a forfeiture. Or this percentage of a position group goes down. Here's the protocol for how you go through that. That's what NFL teams were really looking for ahead of training camp, and they didn't get it. And my sense is one of the reasons why is so much has changed over the last 6, 7, 8 weeks. I can't speak for you, Rich, but I thought at the beginning of June we'd be in a much better spot than we are, nationwide with the virus.
No doubt.
So I think there's like an acknowledgement there that things are going to keep changing. And what makes sense as far as a hard and fast rule in the middle of August might not make sense in the middle of October. So I do know the one thing that they have discussed, I think this is probably the likely route they go, is try to find a way to come up with a committee, and whether it's 6 people, 8 people, 10 people, put some medical people on there, put some people who have some experience with teams on there, where that committee would work with Roger to be sort of that emergency, that group that deals with the emergency situations where if you do have an outbreak right before a game, there are some people that you go to that'll sort of make the big hard decisions on what to do about it.
So basically, like, we'll form a committee to deal with the hard decisions when we need to, but right now there's no going into the season. X number of players here, this is what we're going to happen. We're going to cancel the game. And there's just no hard and fast rule is essentially what you're saying right now.
Right now, that could change over the next few weeks. Like I said, this thing's been changing so fast.
It's crazy, man.
I think, like the NFL, like that, but that's the thing is, like, and the way these, a ton of these people, Rich, the way they want it. They want to know the rules beforehand. You know what I mean? Like, they want to know, like, okay, like, so if this is what it is, this is what it is, and we'll deal with that. And I just think that, things have changed so quickly and things have evolved over the last few months to the point where I do think the NFL wants to maintain some level of flexibility. So I'm not saying they couldn't put in something. They still have, 3 weeks before we're even into the practices towards week 1. You know what I mean? Towards that game week. But as of right now, it feels to me at least like they may be leaning more towards that committee approach.
And have you heard of any teams that have basically said, "Hey, we're anybody that goes out at night has to face the music within our 4 walls"? Do you know anybody that's basically, or have all coaches kind of given the speech that coaches give to players before they go on bye weeks, saying don't do anything that stupid, essentially? I mean, have you heard that?
Yeah, I know that they've used examples from other sports. I think what happened in Oklahoma was probably a good example too, right? Like, if you look at, and I think Lincoln Riley's done as good a job as anybody, but he gave the players a week off, and they come back and they'd had 0 positive tests. I think they had a round of tests where they tested 150 people, had 0 positives. And they come back from that week off, and all of a sudden they've got 9 positives, and that's a program, again, that has done, I think, just about everything right when it comes to this. That sort of illustrates the risk out there. Obviously, you get the example of the Marlins. Everybody saw Sean McVay use that on Hard Knocks last week. And I do know that the message from every coach I've talked to at the beginning of camp was, listen, whoever is the most responsible team is going to be one of the teams that's standing at the end. And we have a chance to give ourselves a competitive advantage here if we're responsible about it. And so I think everybody has gotten that message and had that drilled home over and over and over again over the first couple of weeks of camp. There is a part of this, Rich, though, that, is going to be sort of variable that they can't control, which is what happens when kids go back to school in a couple of weeks. What happens when people's wives go back to work? There is a piece of this, of course, that I don't think anybody is going to be able to control, that it's just going to be sort of introduced as, again, kids start going back to school, people start going back to work because they're not in a bubble.
All right, so I got time for one football question. We might as well bring it full circle. Cam Newton's a starter, right, in New England? I mean, the whole conversation about that he's a hardworking kid, and we're hearing everything out of New England about how Stidham was this and Hoyer's that. It's Cam's gig, right? I mean, this is it. We're gonna see Cam out there week one. It's gonna be Belichick hooking up with Cam as a post Tom Brady hors d'oeuvre for us to all feast on all year long, right?
Yeah, and I'll give you an interesting anecdote from 2011. I had a couple people I was talking to who used to work there, who were there in 2011, who talked about Bill's message coming out of the lockout, and because of the weirdness of that season and the lack of a ramp up, what Bill kept saying to the guys, and they went to the Super Bowl that year, was, you don't want to be the team that's going to be that's not going to be properly conditioned. Because that team is going to get run over, right? And when the real games start. Well, what better way to deal with a dynamic like that than to throw a 270-pound quarterback at people? I thought it was a really interesting way to look at it. I think just for the circumstance of this year, I think Cam is in a lot of ways perfect for the Patriots. No one knows what they're going to be running offensively at you. They're going to have the ability to be creative. There's some simple stuff they can put in that guys are going to be able to adapt to really quickly. And so I think, Bill signing Cam was very much with 2020 in mind, knowing that he might be the ideal quarterback for these circumstances. And what the upshot of it is, Rich? If he is who he was 3 or 4 years ago, well, then you get to re-sign him, and maybe you have your Tom Brady replacement. So good for 2020, and also with potential to be good for more than that.
So exciting, Albert. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll leave you with a sports talk radio question. Who's got the biggest chip on his shoulder? Is it Brady or Cam?
Oh, great question. Great question.
How about Bill wanting to show everybody that he could win without Tom, and that it wasn't just Tom? How about that for an answer? If you want to get the sports radio,
sure. I mean, you could throw Bill in there too. He'll never admit that there's a shoulder or a chip or a chip on his shoulder or a potato chip or a poker chip. There's no chips. I mean, not even in his Subway sandwiches that he's hawking.
I think
soon.
Bill. He'll never admit this, but I think Bill Belichick will be paying special attention to the NFC South standings this fall. I'll put it that way.
Isn't it great? This is so great. I've been asked. I don't know the answer to this question, and I very, very rarely ask questions I don't really know the answer to. I've just been Don Bowie, my EP, just got in my ear. Say, ask him about his Instagram. Oh, there it is, your Instagram photo. Very nice, your profile avatar. Look at you, looking all Nantucket tanned and rested, sitting in our guest chair, all smiley, Albert. Look at that.
Every time I come in studio, I've just got an electric tan going on.
You do. Very George Hamilton.
Yeah. You guys have given me a good opportunity to get
the lighting,
to get the best side of me in my avatar.
Look at that lighting. Next time, we just got to make sure that we just twist the mug a little bit more, because our show logo is somewhat obscured, but we'll just handle it. We'll handle it. Thank you, though.
I will say this, though, Rich. I think maybe the best picture I ever took, just as far as tanning goes and everything else, may have been with you, but not in that studio, actually on Island.
It was in Nantucket where we watched, I forget, was it France versus Croatia? Was that the World Cup match we watched?
Something like that, yeah. It was at the gazebo. That's
it was at the gazebo on the Long Wharf there in the great city of Nantucket.
I got a great picture of me and Albert at the DirecTV party in Phoenix one year.
I bet you're very good.
Oh yeah, don't show anybody that.
Yeah. By the way, this is not usually a before I hit you with this out the door, but I will do it nonetheless in the few moments we have remaining. Tell me about Jason Wright, the new team president of the Washington football team.
Yeah, I mean, look, McKenzie's obviously been, a firm that the NFL's been close with. You guys may know Brittany Boland, who's been groomed to sort of take Pat Boland's old chair as the principal owner of the Broncos. She went through the program there, and so he's somebody the NFL had an eye on for a while. And I think what's really interesting about it, obviously, is the diversity end of it, which is great. That we have somebody, a team president role as caller for the first time. I also think the fact that he's young is going to be really interesting. He's 38 years old. He played in the league, and the team is going through this just massive rebrand. And so, I think having somebody with that sort of fresh perspective and a different outlook on things is going to be really, really good. And then, I've asked around a little this morning. It does sound like when he was playing in the league, I think people knew that guy over there, he's got something coming after he's done playing that's probably going to be a lot better than what he's doing right now, which, obviously has wound up being the case.
Yeah, 7 years in the league, and now the first person of color to be a team president in the National Football League and for the Washington football team to boot. Albert, thank you for the time. Appreciate it. Good to chat with you. Let's chat with you real soon. Best to your wife and your family.
You too, Rich. And if you want me to send you that Justin Fields jersey, I'll get it in the mail right away.
You know what?
Send it anyway.
You know what?
Yeah,
send it.
Send it.
I think I have too many Ohio State trinkets around here from past Novembers, paying things off. But I will accept anything from you, Albert, especially phone calls these days. Thanks for the call, brother.
I'll be right on it. All right, Rich.
You got it. That's Albert Breer.
Hey, bud.
So, as I mentioned at the top of the show, today was the first day in pads in practice in the NFL, and there's already a significant injury that is being reported on right now, and it affects the Dallas Cowboys. As I look at the head-shaking Dallas Cowboy fan on set, off camera, and social media, Graham Meister, T.J. Jefferson. We're back with that story. First day I've worn this watch in 6 weeks.
Yeah, I haven't worn a watch in 2 months. Yeah, since we were last year.
Things that I've done today that I haven't done in 6 weeks.
I've been
for
wearing
100,
a watch.
Alex. Huh?
I've been wearing a watch. Look at that tan.
Wow, look at that tan.
That's out on a boat.
Hey,
baby.
how's the new boat?
Wednesday.
Oh, that's right. That's why you're not here.
Wednesday.
You're not here Wednesday.
and Friday, I'm gone this week. And then Friday.
So
the weekend.
Wednesday you're gone because you got your new boat. You got to close on
we
your
gotta-
boat?
Yes. It's like a house.
How does one close on a boat?
You do a 6-hour event. It's nuts. You have to take the boat
Event?
out. Yeah, it's an event. You have to take the boat out.
What do you mean?
You get it inspected. They pull the boat out. It's a nightmare.
So
I was like, I'm not going to buy the boat.
Is it someone from the marina that handles this?
Yeah.
It's a Los Angeles County representative?
Yep.
You're masked up. They're hopefully masked up.
Yep.
You're socially distant on your boat as much as possible.
Yep.
And then
The
you go
owner-
and then you go sailing?
You have to go out in the water. Yeah, you have to like test the engines and do the whole
Right.
Yeah, and then bring it back in. They pull it out of the water, check it.
Hopefully there's no bloodline situation.
Yeah,
going out on the
Polly Walnuts on that boat.
Yeah, is that right?
There might be, Brock, when you want to come out. I'm kidding.
Hey, not in the face, okay?
DJ, come help me. No, it'll be fun. You're all invited eventually when we go.
So wait, so we can fit on this boat?
Oh, no. Yeah, everyone can fit on the boat. 2 people can fit on the other boat. It's a raft, the other
So
boat.
how big is this boat?
33.
Gee,
Oh, this is a boat.
33-footer?
Oh, this is a boat. It's a boat. This is what I've dreamed up my whole life.
What are you naming it?
Orca. From what movie? Come on. What movie?
Jaws.
Orca.
Orca from Jaws. Come on. I couldn't
What
even.
do you
There was
mean
even a
Orca from
question.
Jaws? What are you
From
talking
Jaws.
about?
The boat.
Orca was the name of a movie about a killer whale
Orca's the name of the boat that Captain Quinn has too.
that
Orca.
eventually sank.
Yeah, but
The one
it's-
that
don't
one that
worry.
they said we think we need a bigger boat.
And he got eaten. I don't know. That's a bad sign, Mike.
Can we
Come up
potentially
names?
can we
We could do that. We could go.
Can we make our fans?
Yeah, but I'm
give
still
some
picking
suggestion?
the name. I have one great mix. I could do 100. I got a million names in my head, but I'm not keeping the name that's on it now, and I'm not telling you the name of
What's
it.
on it now?
Guppy.
That's the name of your little boat?
No, that's the name of the boat that I'm buying.
He's buying.
Like,
it's not a
who-
new boat. He's
It's not
buying.
new.
No, I know.
You never
I
buy a new
know.
boat. Never buy a new boat.
So
that's stupid.
I wouldn't know. So
Rich,
Not buying a boat.
Guppy.
Not in the
Somebody
boat
named
business.
a 33-footer Guppy.
come on. Who does that?
Might as well name it Dory.
You should name it. Hey, you scratched my ankle.
What was the name of the boat from
Caddyshack?
Caddyshack? That's a great.
It's easy to grin when
was
your
the name
ship
of his
comes
boat?
in.
What was
you
the
got
name
the
of his
stock
boat?
market
I know
beat?
it too. Fish food.
Look it
something?
up.
What is it?
I don't know.
Oh, it's.
Once again, 1 week from today, we start exclusively streaming on Peacock, and it is honestly, I would be less effusive about it if it wasn't that great. You know how I talk in code sometimes, Chris. I always shoot you straight, but sometimes I'll just.
I'm aware.
I might say, hey, you know what? It's a solid streaming service. Just to regenerate the use of the word solid.
Sure.
To me, when you say something that I do is solid, there's better words for it.
Not great.
It's more than solid. This is hardcore great. It's so easy to use. It
Really
is amazing. And I guarantee you every other streaming service that doesn't have the feature that we're going to be featured on Peacock is going to want it. That's how good it is. And we start there a week from today. We're very, very excited about that. With Dan Patrick on before us again. He can't quit me.
The band's back together.
He can't quit me. I can't quit Dan.
Back to back.
So, how's that defensive line of the Dallas? Can we turn TJ Jefferson? How's the Dallas Cowboy defensive line doing these days? You were excited about the recent acquisition of who did the Cowboys sign during our hiatus?
Everson Griffin.
You're very excited about all that.
The Cowboys' defensive line could be legit.
Well, we could have been legit, but apparently, after what I just read, we might not be so legit.
Gerald McCoy, according to Ian Rappaport, feared to have torn his ACL. Tell him and Jane Slater, who knows.
We'll have to hit them up.
Yeah.
It looks like Stephen Jones is going to talk in about 25 minutes.
There you go. Oh, what a bummer. One day in padded practices, that's what happens.
Also, the 49ers lost Jalen Hurd, wide receiver. Looks like he's out with an ACL.
And they already got Debo down.
Yeah.
I mean, that kid, Brandon Ayuk, is going to get put into play.
Fantasy sleeper.
He is going to be put into play lickety-split. And how he does is something that I guarantee you Green Bay Packers fans will keep their eyes on because they had him penciled in. And when he gets drafted because the Niners move up one spot in front of Green Bay, and that's when they traded up for Jordan Love. And even if they don't pay attention to it in Green Bay, I'll keep reminding them of it.
I remember.
I still can't believe that
By the way,
happened.
it seems like the NFL draft was 2 years ago, but wasn't this the deepest wide receiver draft that we've ever had? And the Green Bay picked how many wide receivers?
Oh, my gosh.
0.
How about our buddy Kyle Brandt, who's going to be on tomorrow's show? He's got his new pod with The Ringer, and he had Aaron Rodgers on, who put like some sort of galaxy screen,
the virtual background
behind him. Then he poured himself a stiff one on draft night.
Four-finger sitch.
Okay, let's go to the phone lines here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's go to Ramiro in the great city of Chicago. What's up, Ramiro?
Hey, Rich. Love your show.
Thanks.
I'm a physician. I'm an anesthesiologist, and I practiced in Florida for about 15 years, and I just got back in June before the virus completely exploded in Florida. And just as an educational tool, I was coming from Chicago to work in Florida, and I wore a mask, and everybody looked at me funny. I was in Daytona Beach. People were out at the bars outside, blah, 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 like most of the country is. My point is we need to be very careful with this virus, and I think we're letting money dictate health. And as a physician, and most physicians will tell you this if you have any in the family, nurses, I know one of these NFL guys has a cardiac nurse. I was watching the show. It's sad, but it's really the administration that controls even what we doctors do in a hospital. And it's all dictated by money, and it's quite sad. And what's relevant to this is what's going on with Major League Baseball, the NFL, the NBA. One, the NBA with their bubble, blah, blah, blah. Everyone seems to be doing a great job. His saliva test was being mentioned. Let's talk facts here. A saliva test, whether it's coming from Yale or Harvard or whatever, or a virus that is a new virus, you cannot have a test as a medical doctor and say, hey, this is going to be 90% specific, meaning if I test 10 of you, 9 of you will get the result that I'm looking for.
Right.
A doctor will never do a test if the test doesn't help the patient. Right now, 7 months into this, 30 to 50% of our tests are false negative and false positives.
Well, Ramiro, I have to unfortunately cut you short because we're gonna lose our feed at the top of the hour. I shouldn't say that, or we call it a hard break. Okay. We'll have our feed for.
All I wanted to say was that whoever's being paid, whatever doctors are being paid by these organizations, the NCAA, the major league companies, we need to be very careful because money dictates all of this. It's not health. And I don't think doctors, at least good ones, are making the right decisions.
Well, that's the reason why, and thank you for the call. Appreciate it. We're up against the hard out at the end of the hour. That's why we're having Dr. Brian Hainline, the Chief Medical Officer of the NCAA, on. That's one of the questions I want to ask him. Pac-12 and Big Ten hear about myocarditis, and they're like, we're done. And the rest of the conferences are like, well, let's hear more. Charlie Blackmon, who's overcome the virus and is now hitting almost 500, leading off our second hour in a moment.
You told a story about the genesis of All Right. All right.
Yes.
All right.
Here's where that comes from. So, Dazed and Confused.
Yes. Genius film.
I'm in the right bar at the right time. Mm-hmm. And a guy goes, hey, you ever done any acting? You might be right, just right for this part. Legendary casting director and producer Don Phillips. I come back, and they do what's called a makeup and wardrobe test, meaning they're shooting another scene one night. I'm just going to show up. Director's going to step off the set and come and look and go, great, I approve. Well, he comes and looks. He goes, geez, this is Wooderson. It's great. He goes, listen, you're not scheduled to work tonight, but we're over here at the Top Notch drive-thru, and you think Wooderson might want to pick up on the redheaded intellectual, Jake? And I'm like, sure. And he goes, want to shoot it? I'm like, sure. So I go get in the car. About to shoot my first scene ever in a film.
Of your career?
Of my career. And I had been listening to a lot of 70s rock and roll at that time. And there was a certain live recording of a Jim Morrison concert in like Amsterdam or somewhere where he barks at the crowd, all right, all right, all right, all right, 4 times real aggressively though. I'm not thinking about that, but this comes back. So I'm in the car and I'm like, who's my man? I'm nervous. I'm about to hear act, who's my man? Who's Wooderson? I said, well, I'm about my car. And I go, well, I'm in my 70 Chevelle. Yes. There's one. Mm-hmm. I said, I'm about getting high. I said, well, Slater's riding shotgun. You know he's got a Dubois rolled up. There's 2. I said, I'm about rock and roll. And I said, well, I got Nugent, Stranglehold in the 8-track, man. There's 3, and I hear action. And I look up, and in my mind, I go, and I'm about chicks. I got 3 out of 4. Let's go get the 4th. All right, all right, all right. Pull out. That was it. So first words ever said on screen.
It's a big day for us here at the Rich Eisen Show.
Turn those machines back on!
Guess who's back?
Oh, my gosh.
It's Rich Eisen.
You know what I am? Knowledgeable.
Chris Brockman.
Rich, everything that I do during the show is work-related.
That's so false.
And Mike Del Tufo. They are back.
Got it.
The Rich Eisen Show. Earlier on the show, senior writer from the MMQB, Albert Breer. Coming up, Colorado Rockies outfielder Charlie Blackmon. Plus, NCAA Chief Medical Officer Dr. Brian Hainline. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Hour number 2 of our show, back from sports hiatus right here on NBCSN, is on the air. We say hello to our YouTube friends. Again, we're going to be streaming on Peacock starting one day from today. Chris Brockman and Mike Del Tufo at their posts. Chris Brockman slowly morphing into Cam Newton as things go on, wearing his new number 1 Patriots jersey with Newton on the back. Now you've got the neck scarf thing working, right?
Yeah, I got a little scarf going on.
Do you got anything else over there?
Yeah, I think I got some jewelry.
What else you got? What else you got over there?
Cam's all about the giant bracelets, so I got some bracelets.
You got that working?
And then I'll have something special for hour 3.
Well, that's called a tease. Yeah. Well done. So you're just
thanks. I'm all in, guys. I am all in.
Tom who? Who's that fella? Who is that
this
fella?
This guy right here. I love
to
Tom
9
Brady.
Super Bowls. Who's that guy?
Look at this pretty guy.
Okay, so we're 1 hour in again to our back from hiatus, and we're thrilled that everybody is with us. And we say a special hello again to all of our new friends on the Mightier 1090. We are talking terrestrial radio. Locally here in Southern California, from Baja California, it truly is all the way up to Alaska, right? Is that the signal?
The
That's
North Pole, Rich.
Is that what it is?
It's very far. It's very strong.
Wait, it's potentially. Speaking of Patriot fans, Putin could potentially be tuning us in, thanks to the Mightier 1090.
I think so.
I think so.
So. Where we say hello again to NBCSN and Sirius XM Channel 211, and now also to sitting on our guest line right now, one of our favorite guests in the near 6-year history of this show. Loved meeting him in person when he was here in studio as well, and as good a human as he is, a Major League Baseball player, currently raking at a particular clip that is very impressive, and he's from the Colorado Rockies. He's Charlie Blackmon here on the show. How are you, Charlie?
Hey, Rich. Thanks for having me.
I did not mention your average. Are you one of those players that doesn't want to talk about your statistics because you're a little superstitious?
I really don't like it. Yeah.
See,
I got some weird stuff that I do, and one of them is I try my best. When things are going good, not to look at the scoreboard or the numbers. I pretty much only look at the numbers when they stink.
Well, because I remember one of my colleagues at ESPN, whose name I won't mention, once mentioned to Paul O'Neill during the 2000 World Series just how hot he was. He was 6 for his last 10, and Paul nearly walked away from the interview. He was so pissed that the statistics were mentioned live like that.
I hate it, especially when it comes to like hitting streaks, which I had one last week. Whatever, it's over now, back to normal. But I don't like when people either state the obvious or you just don't talk about something while it's happening. Like wait till afterwards and then be like, hey, you were really good. Back then, I don't know. It's baseball's such a mental game that, like, if you let it get to you and be like, wow, maybe I am, like, really feeling it right now. That's, like, the death of it.
Can't have it. So do you even stay away from, like, Meatloaf songs, like 2 out of 3 Ain't Bad? Do you even stay away from stuff like that, Charlie? No, you're not that crazy. Okay.
No.
So what do you do? What is part of the whole Charlie Blackmon making sure everything goes right type of regimen that you got going on? What do you do? Or do you don't even want to like talking about that? Is that even a problem?
No. I just I try and stay in my little bubble, like stay in my lane.
Okay.
And try and know that I'm doing everything I need to be doing. Like scouting and practicing and just putting myself in a good place mentally where, like I don't have anything to worry about. And then, of course, I try and stay away from the media as much as I can. But here I am. You know?
I appreciate you accommodating. Do you do, because I've been around so many great athletes, been fortunate enough to work with some. Deion Sanders always used to lay out his uniform on the floor before putting it on, so you'd imagine greatness. I will throw Terrell Davis under the bus. He would take a bubble bath the night before, always would have to do stuff like that. Do you have that, Charlie?
I don't have anything that I think is weird like that.
Okay.
I do just try and keep things in perspective. Like every time that I go out on the field, I need to be thankful for the opportunity to be there, right? Like, a lot of things have to go right. I have to be young, healthy, and pretty good at baseball in order to be able to play in a big league game. So if my mind is right there, that's a pretty good start. And the second thing is when I go out there, I have a chance to do something great every day. And that's just kind of readying the mechanism. Like if my mind is in the right place, good things can happen. Usually doesn't, usually you're average or mediocre, but that's when, that's what makes a great day so special. Charlie Blackmon, who did have the meatloaf stat line, if you will, 2 out of 3 for 2 runs batted in yesterday, and that's the only statistics I will mention here in this interview right here on the Rich Eisen Show with the Rockies center fielder. All right, let's get into it. What is it like running out on the field right now? No fans, middle of COVID-19 protocols all over the place. What is it like for you right now, Charlie? At first, it was really different. But I'll say this, like baseball players can get used to almost anything if they do it enough, right? Like guys keep throwing harder and harder and harder, but like you still can't throw a fastball by some of these guys. If you see it enough, you can make that your new normal. And so our new normal is really weird compared to last year. But the one thing I will take away from it is it's a super intimate game now. If you have the opportunity to like tune in, you should check it out. Like there's no like ambient noise. When our third baseman Aaron Arenado makes a great play, I can be like, hey Nolan, great play, and he can look back and be like, thanks. Like it's weird that he can hear me all the way across the field. It's just super intimate. You got your teammates are the only people screaming. And I mean, it's more like you're just playing for your teammates instead of for the fans, which, everything should be about the fans. But if there's one thing that's, also important, it's the teammates you're playing for. Of course. And then, staying healthy for your teammates and doing the right thing to do that is important. And I want to get to that in a second. I do want to get to you first. You did get COVID-19, and do you have any lingering effects of having had COVID-19, Charlie? Rich, I think I'm 100% recovered. I wouldn't chalk anything that I'm feeling up to a lasting effect from the COVID virus. And, I'm lucky to be in that position. But my experience of the virus was that it wasn't that bad. But I know that there's, not everybody is young and in pretty good shape and going to bounce back as quickly as I have. Mm-hmm. So, I feel like based on my experience, it was tough to see how much our culture has changed to dodge this virus. But, based on other people's experience, that kind of makes it a little bit makes me understand why we're changing so much, because it can be so dangerous. Because it can be. Not too bad. What do you mean by dodging it and the difficulty, and what do you mean by that? What you said a minute ago. Like I felt sick for a couple of days. Right. And I think it's, if it was up to me, I wish I could have got it, at the beginning of spring training, and then we just had a normal baseball season. But not everybody's experience is going to be like that, right? Like you can't just assume that everybody's going to bounce back and be okay. You do have to, prepare and try your best to keep the at-risk people healthy and safe. Charlie Blackmon of the Colorado Rockies here on the Rich Eisen Show. So how often are you guys being tested? Are you different because you've had it, or what's that about? Walk me through your protocol. Our protocols are pretty strict, and they're getting even more strict because we've had a few positives pop up. Mm-hmm. But we test at least every other day. and they're doing a good job of getting those tests turned around very quickly. And then, I mean, we're wearing masks everywhere except for like when you're actively eating or drinking, in which case you're socially distant, or you're on the field playing the game. You pretty much have to wear a mask everywhere. They have mask police walking around the locker room that have to, you know, like their only job is to like make sure that you're wearing your mask. You know, a lot of what I do to prepare for the game is changing. Like I can't scout like I used to scout. I used to go in there and sit on the computer and, you know, pull up all the database. Like you can't do that anymore. No communal computer stations. You know, I have to do it all from like my personal iPad. They've made it more difficult in the training room. You know, everybody's wearing gloves. They have to, if you get in the hot tank on the road now, the hot tanks are usually like a one big tub, right, for one person. If you get in the hot or cold tank and you get out, they have to like drain all the water out, fill it right back up. I mean, we're doing our best to try and keep everybody safe.
Do you feel safe?
Honestly, I feel safe. Like if you're asking me, you know, I'm not trying to make a huge statement about opting out or anything like that, but I do know that I feel very safe, you know, here with these protocols and all this testing, and having a highly trained medical staff like taking care of me. I feel probably more safe, you know, here doing what I'm doing rather than, you know, at home. Like when I was at home, I was struggling to find a place to test. You know, I was struggling to get in front of someone who wasn't associated with the team that could help me medically in this situation. So I feel really safe.
Well, what's the conversation that you're Charlie Blackmon here on the Rich Eisen Show? What's the conversation you and your teammates are having with each other about being smart once you're out of the facility and not going anywhere or breaking protocol in a manner in which it appears two members of the Cleveland Indians did? Jeff Passan of ESPN reporting so many, a bunch of Indians are so upset that they made sure that these players were optioned out. So I'm wondering what's the conversation you're having about staying strong for each other and healthy for each other and smart?
Yeah, we got together very early and we basically everybody had a voice. We decided, hey, like, what do we want to do as a team? What's important to us? And we decided, number one, the most important thing is that we want baseball to be played, right? Like we think we have a good team. We want a chance to go to the postseason. We want to play baseball. So we started making some team rules. Like, hey, this is what we're going to do. The best way to make sure that there's baseball played is that nobody gets sick, you know. And so we started making these rules. You know, no going out. No, you know, like I can't bring my people on the road. You know, like I can't have people getting, you know, going through the airport, riding on a plane, showing up in LA when we're there to play, and then I hang out. You know, we're not going to do any of that kind of stuff. We're going to do what we need to do to play, and that's pretty much stay in your bubble, right? Go to the field, play the game, come back, and either be with your family who's been quarantined with you the whole time, or, you know, be by yourself. And that's not only to keep us able to play baseball, but like if we got guys going out and getting sick and we do shut things down, like you're going to take a paycheck away from everybody who's worked really hard, you know, to get to this level and only have a short, you know, window to capitalize monetarily on that hard work. I mean, it can be pretty serious, and I don't think it should be taken lightly. People that aren't trying to be on the same page with everybody else.
But this is a conversation you and your colleagues had with each other, right?
Oh yeah. This isn't. Nobody forced this on us, right? I mean, they told us. You know, I mean, there's rules, right? But this came from within. This was organic. We want to see this season completed. You know, we want to see what we can do, and so we kind of implemented these measures amongst ourselves.
Me too, Charlie. I'll tell you what, man. I know last we spoke, you know, you were talking about I want to play, and I hope the politics stay out of it. And unfortunately, we saw what did happen. But the fact that you're back, I'm loving it. I'm watching it with my kids. I'm as into it as ever, and you know, I being in a position like the one that I am in, Hear some folks saying, well, it's only 60 games, whatever. I think the winner of this season, the banner should be bigger because of everything that is going on. I mean, and I'm wondering what you feel going through this as a player and what it would mean for a Colorado Rockies World Series championship out of a season like this, Charlie.
I think there's a couple different ways to look at it, right? It's not as many games. There's weird, crazy circumstances, but I do know that the people that want it the most are the people that continue to prepare, even when spring training got suspended. Kept going to the yard, kept working hard, kept their body in shape, and really wanted the game to happen. Like, those are the people that are going to succeed. Especially this season. There's a lot of people that maybe weren't there mentally, like didn't want it, you didn't continue to work. Like, those are the people that are going to get beat or get, unfortunately, some people are getting hurt. And I don't want to blame the people that are getting hurt on that they weren't working hard. Like, it was a very quick ramp up, but I still think, like, you're seeing, like, the competitive desire come out from these guys, and everybody has a chance to make it to the playoffs. I mean, I still think it's a very competitive season. I do think also we've changed the playoff format so that more teams will make it. So we've addressed that short season to allow more teams into the playoffs. So I do think, like, you're going to have to really earn it if you want this World Series. You're going to have to play multiple series in the playoffs against good teams to get there. I mean, I think it's really exciting, and I can't wait for the next month or two.
Me too, man. And I just love it how you say that it's so quiet in the park that, your teammates hear each other. I imagine, though, the umpires can hear what you're saying a little bit easier too, Charlie. Yes, no?
That's been an issue already. Like, I've spent a lot of time in the dugout. I kind of, I operate in the same way, whether there's fans in the stands or not. It's kind of ingrained. And when certain calls are made, and I can only see, like, how high or how low the ball is. And when there's a ball that's called a strike and one of my teammates is hitting and it's too low, like, the first words out of my mouth are, "That's too low," and it's really, really loud. Well, usually the umpire can't hear you, or he can pretend like he's not hearing you. But now it's almost like you personally offended him, and so it's like he hears it so loud and clear, he, like, has to look over, and then he's like, "Oh, it's Blackmon there." Like, I can see him on the top step looking straight at me. I mean, I'm surprised we haven't had more issues. And it's tough for those guys too, because they kind of ramped up quick. Of
course.
It's just the communication level. Like, baseball is not a great sport of communication. Well, the communication level's gone way up this year. With no fans in the stands, you can hear a lot more.
Right. Yeah, you can hear it, right? And then even the bench clearing moments, everybody kind of, I guess, tries to maintain a social distant bench clearing situation. What did you think of those that we saw recently, Charlie?
I wouldn't even know what to do. Guys are playing hard. It's still a very emotional game, and you're going to get fired up about things. And honestly, there's a point to which, like, if you boil over that edge, you're not caring about your distancing. And that's what happened. And I hope we don't have any negative, consequences from that. But, you don't like to see it. It is very exciting. I'm not going to lie. Like, I love watching it when things like that happen.
You do? You do? So like, did you, when you were watching the Joe Kelly, hit-a-thon, and then that look that he gave the Astros, you kind of like that one?
Loved it. I mean, let me back up.
Okay.
Like, even if people deserve to get hit, which I think should happen sometimes, like, I'll say it, you can't throw at people's heads. Like, you can't do it. Like, that's going to really hurt people.
Right.
Even, if you're trying to hit them in the hip and it sailed up by their head, your fault. Like, you should be punished. But at the same time, like, I think the game's getting younger, and I don't want to but, like, the new school is very different than old school, and you've got a little bit of both playing the game right now, and sometimes it doesn't mix very well. And I think Joe Kelly tried to lay down the law, and I think it's great. I wish some of those pitches hadn't been up by somebody's head.
Right.
And you know what? Like, for him to make a look at the dugout like that, like, I think that's just way better than seeing a bunch of F words I'm going to have to bleep out, and I can't let my kids watch it. Like, that's a little more wholesome to me somehow.
Well, he did give kind of a schoolyard sort of, pouty face, sort of like, go cry to mom.
Yeah.
I think that's what he kind of gave. That was the vibe that I picked up.
Once again, the communication has increased this year. He communicated his feelings very well. He did a great job of letting the Astros know just how he felt, and I think everybody else picked up on that.
They did pick up on that, Charlie. You are correct. Hey, Charlie, I love our chats. I really do, and greatly appreciate it. I know you don't do it a lot. And just another reason to wear a mask is if you're chirping at Blue, he won't know it's you. If you're a loud talker, if you're learning that you're a loud talker now, based on everything that's going on, just wear that mask. He cannot tell. Blue will not be able to tell. You're telling him it's too low if you're masked up.
Yeah, that's true.
It's another benefit, just another benefit. Thanks for the time, Charlie. Let's chat again real soon. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks, Rich.
Right back at you. The one and only Charlie Blackmon.
I mean, how do you not like that guy?
The one and only Charlie Blackmon. By the way, new great song. 4 out of 10 ain't bad. Is he gone now? Is he hung up?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
I say goodbye.
Guy's hitting 446.
I mean,
come on.
Oh, yeah.
Bro.
22 ribbies. He had 2 yesterday. That's tied for the major league lead. Look at all those asterisks, meaning he's leading the league in it. He's 37 for 83.
I mean, that's
come on.
Stupid. Come on.
Dude, he gets on base to start the inning, and that's it.
That's it.
Crazy thing is, he's never in the dugout to yell at the umps. He's always on base.
He's on base. Yeah.
He's a duck on a pond. I'll never forget that. Paul O'Neill told my colleague, I won't say his name. I will not say his name.
Does
Paul O'Neill.
It rhyme with?
I was supposed to interview him for ESPN Radio after this colleague was interviewing him for ESPN.
What year?
I was standing. It's the 2000 World Series. Mets Yankees. And he was raking. He was killing it. And Paul O'Neill looked at him and said, before we go on the air, do not talk about my stats. And I believe my colleague, who's as professional as they come, just didn't hear because it was really loud. I heard it. And it starts the interview saying, Paul O'Neill, 6 for his last 13. And O'Neill went like this. This is the face he gave. He went like this.
Yeah.
Which is you got to be kidding me. Like, threw his hands up in the air and literally was getting ready to walk away.
That's Fight Club. You don't talk about it.
Is he going to be on Monday Night Football this fall?
I am not going to confirm or deny who it was at all.
Perfect.
I will not confirm or deny, but all I know ever since that, you cannot walk in the door with a baseball player who's on fire and say, hey, you're hitting 446, Charlie. That's amazing. Great. How are you doing it? Because they go 0 for the next 10.
It's your fault.
It's my fault.
Exactly.
And I know it's my fault, too.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how irrational that whole concept of thinking truly is in real life.
Baseball players and superstitions.
Now you guys know why I get mad when I do miss a drop.
Oh, my God.
You can't talk about it.
Mike, I would beg for you to hit 446 on this show. I would settle for that right now.
I'd settle for that.
For you to hit 446 in that chair? Oh, my God. The Rich Eisen Show with Chris Brockman and Mike Del Mendoza when we come back in a moment here on NBCSN and more. Please get 44% of your buttons pushing right.
I do. 3 opens. If I hit the opens right.
By the way,
I'm already 1 for 3.
Is that amazing, too, when just about talking about the NFL? Oh. If somebody in the NFL goes, if Brady hits on 4 of 10 passes, it's terrible.
That's
terrible.
Trade him.
Terrible.
I mean, you're cut. You didn't never play again.
Yep. But that shows you how baseball's
it's totally different, right? Now,
you're the greatest of all time.
If you hit 44% of your greens or fairways in professional golf, I mean, you better hit more than 40% of your fairways, man.
Fairways of golf. Yeah.
Got to hit the fairway.
What's this? What would be similar? 3 points? 3-pointers?
44% three-pointer. You're
in the NBA.
That's pretty good.
Right.
It's pretty good.
You're doing all right.
Yeah, you're doing all right.
2-pointers. If you're
2-pointers, no bueno.
No bueno.
You're going to be sitting working with us if you're shooting 40.
From 2.
Yeah.
From the field, if you will. From 3-point range, that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Jeez. I love Charlie Blackmon. Have I said that? How? Because he's so. I'll wait till the NBC audience returns. How much time do we have left here with our YouTube?
I thought you were throwing.
Where are you watching the Yankee Red Sox games lately, Chris?
Haven't watched a single pitch. By the way, we watched.
Oh,
I swear, we watched 4 hours of Family Feud yesterday.
Excuse me. Hold that thought too.
Okay.
By the way, I mixed my first Yankee game. We forgot that.
We missed one story that there was one story in quotes. There were 2 stories that made me, while I'm on hiatus, say, "Oh man, I wish we were on the air tomorrow."
No. Jamal Adams.
3 stories.
Okay.
We can come up with more, Rich.
Probably more.
Yeah, but I mean, big ones.
We haven't hit the poll question yet, right?
No.
We'll hit that.
We can hit that next.
Significantly, I might add.
It's very good.
Oh boy. I'm watching Bob Eubanks on NBA TV hawking something. Oh my God.
I wish we played the whole season. If we played the whole season, we'd still be doing this.
At that.
Look at that. Good.
Dude. 22 games played, 10 games back in the loss already. By the way, look at those O's.
This season is a joke.
No, it's not a joke.
No, they're playing baseball.
We just heard from Charlie. Look what he's doing.
Yeah.
You heard what he said they're doing. They're draining cold tubs, Chris.
Yeah, 28 might have an asterisk behind it, Rich.
No.
28.
No. I don't want to hear it.
I mean, it could.
You guys really think you're winning?
I don't want to. First of all,
no.
Yes, I do. Of course I do.
Still not. I'm not fully. We need our guys healthy.
Who's our?
Exactly.
Mike Ford. Talkman, who sounds like a guy I went to camp
with. By the way,
with,
I did see the screen grab. Are we back? Do I have time?
No. Podcast One has our podcast. We want to thank them for their patience while we were on hiatus for running all sorts of best of shows. Podcast1.com/Rich Eisen to listen to us anytime you please. You can watch us anytime you please, starting 1 week from today on Peacock TV, which we're very, very excited about. So there were 3 stories, 3 moments while we were on hiatus that made me think, you know what, I really wish we were on the air tomorrow. Let me run through them.
By all means.
Here they were. Number 1, your jersey. When Cam Newton, when the Patriots,
was so good.
who were Stidham this, Stidham that, when I had Bill Belichick on the Draft Zoom, on NFL Network, on that NFL Draft Zoom, and the schedule release show, when I had him on there and talking about Stidham and the quarterback room, and he was the usual Belichick. We have who we have, and that was it. And then on July 8th, out of the blue, guess who's a New England Patriot for an absurd amount of money? Cam Newton. Let's get somebody who's got a former MVP, chip on his shoulder, monster chip on his shoulder. And first ever, by the way, in the history of the NFL, no team has ever lost an MVP quarterback in the offseason and replaced him in the same offseason with an MVP quarterback. It's never happened.
Shocking.
Until now. And it just, you heard Albert Breer in the first hour say he's anywhere close to healthy, he's going to come down at you. And if you thought having a New England Patriot running back in fantasy was maddening enough because you never know. Spin the wheel. Who's going to get it on the 1-yard line?
Yeah, right.
Now here comes Cam with a monster, again, chip on his shoulder. I loved this signing. You know I was advocating and pounding the table for it from the very beginning, as were you, Christopher. You're like, you just weren't going to buy Stidham just yet. You weren't ready to buy him yet.
You can't. Tom Curran to come on and be like, Stidham's the guy.
Well, again, you just don't know what you don't know, and we don't know most of what's going on behind closed doors in New England. Nobody ever really does.
Never.
And in the same year when Bledsoe went down and Brady came in, and much of the staff was essentially, we're good. We saw what was happening in training camp. We know how good this kid is in the meeting rooms. I was willing to be in Bill You Trust right there on him. But clearly, they thought they needed some help. Let's add Cam Newton for $1 million, $7.5 million at the utmost, and what a move! Amazing. Can't wait.
Loved it.
Totally puts New England on the footing that we're used to seeing them on. We just need to see how healthy he is, and I bet you he's going to be very healthy.
I would imagine.
Of sound mind and body too. Yeah. Very happy for you. Very excited for the league. Excited for him.
For the league. I think it's great for the league to have Cam.
Come on.
Obviously to have Cam playing, but in this spot, oh my gosh.
Let's just, if you wouldn't mind, run through it real quick here.
The schedule?
Real quick here.
Great.
Cam, first game up potentially at home against Tua or Ryan Fitzpatrick. Come on. Either way, I'm in. Next game at Seattle, Russell Wilson.
12s.
I'm in.
With no fans?
Next up, here comes the Las Vegas Raiders in. Let's see, because they could have gone in that direction potentially. I understand. Hey, look, if they were kicking the tires on Brady, why not Cam?
Right. And then look at week 4, baby.
At Kansas City. Come on now. That's the way it works. Yeah. Then home for Denver, who, by the way,
sneaky.
I'm going to say it right here. Sneaky. As you know, before every season, I always look for those sneaky sleepers. I sounded very Berman right there. Sneaky sleeper. Drew, lock, stock, and 2 smoking barrels.
You want a fantasy sleeper? Jerry Jeudy.
There we go. Member of the tribe.
Rich.
And a bye week right there. You got it right there.
And then Jimmy G.
Another story I was wishing I was on the air for. I will always raise my hand here and say, you know what? I was off. I was wrong. And I was off on this pretty much entirely. Why would the Jets trade away their best defensive player? Why would they trade away their best defensive player? Why would they do it in the middle of an offseason, months removed from the next draft when they can actually cash the picks in? Why would they do that? Also said that Jamal Adams had to check with me before demanding to leave. Didn't do that.
You did say that, yeah.
Why would the Jets do all this?
Unclear.
Well, the proverbial offer you cannot refuse. 2 number 1s for a safety is something you can't turn down.
Nope.
I will admit that. This guy, I love Jamal Adams. You need culture changing, locker room, if you will, dogs. You need those people. Certainly in a spot like the Jets, you need those people. And when you're trying to evaluate Sam Darnold, or at least give him some sort of help, when he's either A, not as a rookie trying to figure things out, or B, getting mononucleosis, why would you take your best defensive player and trade him away? Because you can't turn down that trade that Seattle gave him. And can Greg Williams pipe down, please, talk about that? He's going to get bored over there. And I know he's just like, can we?
He can't help himself.
You know what? And this is the Rex Ryan effect for me too, for the Jets. We've already been there where a guy puffs his chest out, and we all as Jets fans are like, damn straight, that's right. We're the Jets. We're not kissing rings. We're not doing all that stuff. You go, Rex. And then 2 great seasons. And then poof, nothing. And I'm so sick and tired of the braggadociousness and all that and talking smack going out the door. Greg, you should have figured out a way to keep him where he loves you so much and your scheme so damn great we can't leave. All right, just bygones. He wanted out, and the Jets got an incredible deal, and good for Joe Douglas. Honestly, I never thought that when that the Jamal Adams would get traded, and I'd be like, okay with it.
You can't say no to that.
No, you can't. You cannot.
When your phone rings.
And congrats to Seattle. Yeah. You've got yourself the guy, Earl Thomas is gone. You need somebody with that sort of moxie right behind Bobby Wagner, who I think is a Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. And Pete Carroll's not going to know exactly what to do with him. How about Pete firing back at Greg Williams about being bored? I like it. I'm in for the smack talk from Pete, not from Greg. And here's the third story. Chris, what did you watch yesterday? 4 hours you said you watched yesterday.
Yeah, so the Sox-Yankees were on. Didn't watch it because we stink. We watched 4 hours of Family Feud.
Damn straight you did.
Maybe the best show on television.
My son, Cooper, cannot get enough of the Game Show Network. And I don't know why I'm so damn proud that he can't get it. He watches everything on Game Show Network right now.
Well, because,
Turn 9.
Well, because.
Okay, and it is clearly a hereditary trait of passing from one generation to the other, the desire to give away cash and prizes. That's what I want to do professionally. I'm still waiting for that opportunity to give away cash and prizes outside of, I did that once with The Great Escape on TNT. Yeah. But I mean, just pricing games and stuff like that. I live for it. Clearly, my son does too. We're watching Family Feud all the time.
All the time.
But man, do I wish I was on the air, that the Rich Eisen show was on the air the day after Bruce Smith showed up on the Family Feud.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Michael Irvin went first in Fast Money. Tell me you didn't see this. Did you not see this?
I have not seen this one.
It's amazing.
Michael Irvin went first in Fast Money. The first question
it's great.
was your captain hook. You have to replace your hook with another tool. What tool would it be?
Okay.
So Michael Irvin said hammer. Bruce Smith shows up. Michael's answers come up. 25 seconds on the clock. Steve Harvey, as brilliant as they come.
He's amazing, yeah.
Ask the question again. Bruce Smith says hammer. Try again. Bruce draws a blank and says the words, and pardon, this is what happened, says a penis.
You didn't see this, Brock? It was unbelievable.
Steve Harvey. Now, as you know, I'm a host of a live program every day.
Yes.
So, and I've done this for 20 some odd years, and I even have a small stand-up background. I wasn't a king of comedy.
Sure.
But,
Steve Harvey is the GOAT.
Oh, yeah.
The GOAT.
The GOAT.
Reply back, yeah.
So, Steve, being a GOAT and a host, no doubt heard it, took it in, and had a split-second decision to make. Do I address this now and blow up the construct of a ticking clock?
Yep.
Or do I wait when we have to review the answers and hit him hard then? And Steve makes the captain's decision of blowing it up on the spot.
On the spot.
And dropping an F-bomb in the process. Okay. And kudos to ABC executives who left all of it in, bleeped out the F word. Bruce, look. I don't know what's in your tool shed. Screwdriver, that would have sufficed. Wrench. He threw a wrench in there.
I mean, anything.
Oh, my God. Showed it to my kids, of course, the next day.
I'm going to watch
Bruce Smith. It is something that you will watch over and over again. Immediately, I called up Michael Irvin, and I'm like, Michael, what the hell was Bruce Smith thinking? And Irv's like, none of us knew. And I'm like, you've been sitting on this for weeks. He goes, we couldn't say anything. I'm like, give me a heads up. Like, you got to watch this. Bruce Smith. Oh, my gosh.
It was Harvey's reaction was fantastic.
It's brilliant.
It was brilliant.
You got to, Chris.
You have to watch it.
I got it right now. I got to pull it up.
An all-time great game show moment.
Cutaway from Irvin laugh. I mean, it was a cutaway of all those guys laughing.
Great.
Ooh, Hammer was the number one answer. 40.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but there's other tools,
Yeah.
To mention.
I mean,
well,
it's a tool.
Bruce,
It's not the tool.
We know what Bruce's favorite.
I did say tools. It's just, I couldn't believe it. All right.
I'm done.
Again, that's what I wish. I know. Oh, my gosh. I will never be able to watch anything with Captain Hook again. And Family Feud, just amazing. Okay. When we come back, the poll question is dynamite. Your poll question will definitely spark some conversation. We'll take your calls at 844-204-RICH after this. Now, when I tell a story like that, I know that I have now put out into the universe me saying those words that could be cut up and used against me in many different ways on the internet.
I mean, that's true.
I understand that's the way the world works.
I mean, that's a lot of work for someone to go through. But can I just play?
Are you watching it right now?
I was about to.
Dude.
Could I leave the sound up? So
Go ahead. I mean, just your reaction to it is just amazing.
With what tool? A hammer. Try again.
A penis.
Tell me the age a kid is too old to sleep with a what?
See, he goes into reading the next question
and he was
while
like,
in the back of his brain, what do I do with this information? Literally in like 2 or 3 seconds had the decision, do I blow it up right now or do I revisit this later? And he's screw it. I'm going right now.
So good.
I'm going right now because and then Irv, you see the rest of them there. I think Orlando Pace is losing his mind. Oh, my gosh.
But like him stopping into the next question.
Bruce Smith. I know Dan had him on the next day. Like, we got to get, I mean, this is still too damn good to just get it on again.
I was reading the question and then I said, what?
Oh, it's so good. All right. There you have it.
Wow.
Bruce Smith, everybody.
Wow.
What a locker room that must have been. Because as you know, I told you, I asked Steve Sable one time the name of the coach that NFL Films had to bleep out the most, and he said Marv Levy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You think of Marv as this sweet old man.
There's one good
honestly,
Films thing where
he
goes,
looks like a guy I would see on High Holidays and just say, Hak Sameach.
I worked on a show with him like in the early 2000s, and he was,
Oh, he and Ditka did a segment called Coach Speak.
No, that's right. It was
on
Marv
2003.
I forgot. I
you
had
don't
all
remember
those outtakes,
dude. You all those outtakes where Marv would just say, "What are the games?" I don't even know the games that they were talking about.
I'll call you Myrtle.
I know that they were.
Marge.
I know.
Right. I forgot about Coach.
Because I think Ditka called him Merv once, and his response was, "I'll call you Myrtle."
Call you Myrtle.
Like that's the era of his humor. Sweet man.
Those outtakes were funny.
And then I asked Steve Sable the name of the car. He said that he would sound like a truck backing up. That's how many times he would have to beep out Marv Levy. The guy who screams when he was on the Chiefs, "You over-officious jerk."
He's 95.
God bless him.
Oh.
844-204-RICH, number to dial here on the Rich Eisen Show. Sadly, Gerald McCoy, according to, is it Ian Rappaport? What is it? What does he have? A ruptured?
Stephen Jones did a press conference a
yes.
little bit ago and announced that he has a ruptured quad tendon.
Oh, that should wrap it up, right?
His season is over.
Sorry, TJ Jefferson, Dallas Cowboy fan, residently. The weird hybrid of Philadelphia 76er, Dallas Cowboy, New York Met, Los Angeles Clipper.
Yeah, don't forget about Clippers.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about Gerald McCoy is, too, you know, when Tampa Bay did Hard Knocks that year, we got to kind of, you know, you get to see everyone. And Gerald McCoy came across as a guy who, like, just his personality and his upbeat nature, and he's just a guy that you'd want to root for. So this makes it even harder.
Gerald McCoy is a great human. I've always loved meeting him. And if I'm not mistaken, do you remember last year when Jameis and a bunch of Tampa Bay Buccaneers went to a high school event on behalf of McCoy? It was McCoy's kid, I think, in Tampa, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Remember that?
Yeah.
They went on because Gerald was on Carolina,
the Panthers,
and couldn't be there, so they were there for Gerald. That's how much of they love him as a teammate when he wasn't their teammate anymore.
Yeah.
And a great player too, man.
Was he the first guy to bear hug Roger at the draft?
No, that was Trent Williams. Picked him up.
You're right.
Trent Williams.
That was when that started.
Wow. That is an unfortunate piece of news for the Dallas Cowboys on the first day of pads. Let's take some phone calls here on the Rich Eisen Show. Chris has been hanging on in Alabama for quite some time. What's up, Chris?
Hey, Rich?
Yes, indeed. I think you have maybe the TV on. There's a delay. You might want to lower that volume before you chit-chat with me. That's Chris in Alabama here. What's on your mind, sir?
Speaking about the Family Feud, I go back on YouTube and watch the older ones with Steve Harvey back in the day also, so I love that show.
Me too.
But I was just thinking about like the college football. They canceled some of the conferences, the season and stuff, but they kept the actual dorms and stuff in the school open for the same students that's going to be on the football field that's going to be walking through the hallways. I mean, I assume that they go to college. So, I mean, isn't that like a double sword of like, okay, we're gonna keep the college open, but we're not going to let anyone in our athletics, go and play football or whatever.
Yeah, you know what? Again, it's whereas, we were talking to Charlie Blackmon of the Rockies, and I mentioned earlier before about the NFL, like players just need to go home when they're not playing. And in college, you've got to go to classes, although many of them could be online. And then also, college kids are going to be college kids. It's particularly frightening when there's not enough testing and tracing going on in this country. And, I started the show by saying what was happening then and what was happening now on our last show in June and today. And, mask wearing has been politicized as ever, even though the science proves how much it can be helpful in preventing the spread of this disease. I don't have an answer for you, and part of the reason, and thank you for the call. Thanks for calling in. And that's why we're having Dr. Brian Hainline, the NCAA Chief Medical Officer, on. What is the science here? What did the Pac-12 and Big Ten school presidents hear that SEC, ACC, and Big 12 school presidents have heard and say it's manageable? That Big 12 and Big 10 and Pac-12 school presidents heard that said that's the end of that. We're not even gonna wait till September 1 to cancel whatever we're talking about first game late September. We're not even gonna wait. I do not have the answer for you. I want college football. All I can say is that anybody out there who wants college football and is upset that we're not getting college football, I will say this, even though I know people will say it's political. It is not political. It is truth. We as a country did not do the hard work. We did not do the hard work to allow college football to happen. Period. End of story. And we're demanding the fruits of society that we're seeing in other countries that did the hard work. 844-204-RICH. Let's get to our friend Al in Dallas. How you been, Al?
It's called, right? I'll be right back.
There you go, Al. Cut short what you got going on, dude. Deals you're cutting, Al. What's going on?
Welcome back, boys.
Thanks, Al. Appreciate
thanks,
it.
Al.
Thanks, pal.
I mean, it was a long 6 weeks, and you went over the subjects that you missed. I did not. I did not see the Bruce Smith kerfuffle.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, that's.
I don't know what's going on in his mind.
Next level.
First of all, Steve Harvey gets himself into. I mean, he does so much live or tape broadcasting that he gets himself into some doozies.
But he also notices when there's something he could carve up like a filet mignon and serve it up. He's so great at that.
Man. Yeah, he is. He really is. So so what's new?
I know, man. I know.
Listen. I mean, it's great to have you guys back on.
Thanks, bud.
It's fantastic.
I appreciate that.
I already had to go download the Peacock. I got more entertainment apps on my phone than I do anything.
Well,
now,
this one is particularly awesome, Al. And tell all your friends. And thank you for the call. Always appreciate hearing from you. Tell all your friends to go get it. Get it.
Tell your friends. Tell your friends.
Tell your friends, because that's the way we're going to be seen. That's the way you could see us. We're streaming on Peacock starting on August 24th every single day from 12 to 3 Eastern. We're on after Dan Patrick, who's on after Mike Florio and Pro Football Talk, and more shows to be announced after ours on that channel. That'll be. I don't want to get ahead of whatever is going to be announced or anything like that.
Sure.
It's just very, very exciting. We could not be more excited.
Fun stuff.
All right, Al would probably be very good on our poll question.
He would, too, actually.
So he'll be hopefully tweeting at us at Rich Eisen Show, where the poll question is, has it been up? Have we just not
it's
hit
been
it?
up. No, it's been up on
let me read
at
it.
Rich Eisen Show. It's on Twitter.
What do you got for me,
So here we
Chris?
got. It's the great Robert De Niro's birthday today, boys. 77 years young.
Talking to me?
Is that right?
Incredible actor Robert De Niro. All right, we tossed about some ideas on an email chain yesterday. Here's what we came up with. Which Robert De Niro character would you least want as your father-in-law? Would you least want as your father-in-law? Max Cady from Cape Fear.
Crazy, but...
Jimmy Conway from Goodfellas. Jack Burns from the Meet the Parents movies. And Al Capone from The Untouchables.
Okay. Now, obviously, none of them you would want as your father-in-law. And there
Probably
are some
not.
that we didn't even include, like Travis Bickle.
I mean,
didn't even include Taxi Driver.
No. Or
Although
Vito
Max Cady,
Corleone.
although Max Cady was just
that's the newer version of.
Yeah.
Who would you least want as your father?
Oh, my gosh. Look at the picture of Jack Burns, Meet the Parents.
I mean,
great movie, Meet the Parents. Just a great movie. I've never been on a plane where a movie plays and the entire plane is laughing like I once watched Meet the Parents on a plane.
And it was one of the ones where everyone had to watch the same movie?
Yeah. It was one of those. And then everyone was watching the same movie, and they got the headsets handed out, and everyone was laughing. I remember that.
Amazing.
Still, however, you ready for this?
Uh-oh.
Not the best Robert De Niro comedy.
Oh, gosh.
Oh. Brockman and I were going back
I don't
and forth.
understand this.
How much time
hatred.
we
We've got a nice amount of time.
It's not hatred. It's
I
definitely
don't-
not hatred.
Hold on. I don't understand the pain-o-mind list, to use a Goodfellas phrase, that you guys place Midnight Run. The best comedy of my lifetime. I'm 51 years old.
You think that's your...
Oh, my goodness.
You're putting that in front of, like, the Blues Brothers.
Caddyshack and Animal House.
If you give me my favorite movie of all time is The Sting.
Right.
We know that. Yeah.
Okay. Robert Redford's birthday tomorrow.
We can hit that tomorrow. My favorite comedy, because it's funny, it's profane, it's poignant, it's original, and it's an original take on a buddy travel movie, is Midnight Run. The characters are hilarious. The acting is remarkable. The writing is unique. And it's got a heart at the center, and it doesn't jam it in your face that you're supposed to cry here or laugh here or whatever. It's brilliant. Start to finish. Robert De Niro is amazing in it. Charles Grodin.
You're putting that in front of The In-Laws.
I am.
The In-Laws, which are
The In-Laws is a great
one of the
movie.
greatest. The
Dennis
original.
Farina steals.
Dennis Farina steals.
I mean, come on, go have a cream soda.
Okay, please.
That's one of my favorite scenes.
So I would put Midnight Run in my top 10 De Niro movies. You wouldn't?
Oh, I mean,
top 10 De Niro movies?
Easy.
Oh,
Top
sure.
10.
I thought you were going to put it in your top 10 all time.
Yeah.
I do.
Top 10 all time Midnight Run. Oh,
Midnight Run is my favorite
tough
comedy.
sell.
If
We'll
you
have
want
to
me
do
to
that one
sit,
time.
if you want me to sit
Our
down
top
and
10
watch a
each.
comedy, that's the one I want to see.
Okay. Man, that's fair. It's your personal choice, obviously. So you like what you like.
But you don't even want to.
But to say it's not going to make a top 4 when we only have 4 choices
When we
for
had
De Niro.
we were the original
4
conversation we had was to have his best movie 4 early.
And 4 late. I actually said
late.
let's got to do both. Yeah,
Okay.
early and late.
Or 4 Scorsese, 4 non-Scorsese.
Right. Yeah,
In the 4 late and in the 4 non-Scorsese, I put Midnight Run in the email chain, and you both rejected
because
it.
out of the 4 late ones,
You want to put Fear in there,
Parents.
which is, by the way, a Scorsese movie.
But you wanted to take out Heat.
You can't.
Like,
You can't.
Not happening.
Heat's one of their. That's Pacino and De Niro. That's
No, I wanted to take out. Well, Casino's another Scorsese movie.
Yeah.
He didn't even put Casino in it, which I'm surprised.
Midnight Run is a brilliant,
it's amazing.
all-time great comedy.
We voted on this, though. The people have spoken. You're alone on your Midnight Run Island.
Well, what was the last? I forget. The
It was-
hiatus.
it was
the
a while
hiatus.
ago. I mean,
was
I can-
very
I'll go
hazy.
back and look.
I forgot what we put it on. Like I insisted we put it on there.
It was like buddy comedies or something.
and
it got smoked.
And
at
it did
2%
not.
milk.
It did not rate well. And I just said to you and everybody else, "What the hell's your problem?
I like it. It's really funny.
Why weren't you popular with the Chicago Police Department?" Just tell me to move on, Matt, and I'll move on. Just tell me to move on. Oh, no. God, that's a new drop. I like it. Okay, our third hour, we will have Dr. Brian Hainline, the Chief Medical Officer of the NCAA, on. Chris Brockman's going to give us a news update. In the middle of the third hour, the NBCSN audience will leave us to get ready for the Lightning and the Blue Jackets. That's how we're rolling in our third hour.
Audio executive Michael Del Tufo's lightning-quick reflexes on a mixing board are a sight to behold. With his combination of experience, nerves of steel, and endless stamina based on an intense workout regimen, Mike's one of the best in the business. However, what happens when Mike gets distracted by social media posts, fantasy sports, and just general daydreaming? At the Rich Eisen Studios, Soul and Science tests reveal that Del Tufo's delays in opening a mic or playing a soundbite can last anywhere from 3 to 6 seconds. Over a 3.5-year span, these daily delay lag times add up to an inconceivable 78 minutes of dead air for a national show. But when Del Tufo reconnects with his responsibilities, his adjustment speed is off the charts and almost inhuman. Mike's hand moves from his lap to the mixing board in an unthinkable speed of over 21 miles per hour. That's 5 times faster, he'd like to think, than the strike of a copperhead. His fast-twitch muscle fibers continue to amaze as his arm snaps up into the air to signal that it was my bad in just under 7/10 of a second. That's just under 8/10 of a second. It's no wonder that this man has an Emmy certificate sitting on his mantle at home, even though no one's actually seen an Emmy. I'm John Brankus at the Rich Eisen Studios for Soul and Science.
It's a big day for us here at the Rich Eisen Show.
Turn those machines back on!
Guess who's back?
Oh my gosh.
It's Rich Eisen.
You know what I am? Knowledgeable.
Chris Brockman.
Rich, everything that I do during the show is work related.
That's so false.
And Mike Del Tufo. They are back.
Got it.
The Rich Eisen Show. Earlier on the show, senior writer from the MMQB, Albert Breer. Colorado Rockies outfielder, Charlie Blackmon. Coming up. Plus, NCAA Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Brian Hainline. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Okay, hour number 3 of our return from hiatus show here on NBCSN, Sirius XM radio, as well as terrestrially. Thrilled that we are part of the relaunch of the Mightier 1090 here in Southern California, where the signal goes from Baja California up around, the Arctic Circle, and then back around all the way. Sort of, the way that Superman would fly around the Earth. Again, I need to get more specific, I think, about the strength of that large signal. Anyway, we're thrilled to be on it.
50,000 watts.
Thrilled to be on it. If you missed any part of our show, you can check it out on our YouTube page for the next week. We start from this week forward, 1 week from today, streaming live on Peacock every day. Thrilled to be on that service starting 1 week from today. We'll still have all of our clips available on our YouTube page, which is youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. And also, if you missed anything, Charlie Blackmon of the Rockies was dynamite. Albert Breer was great. And Chris Brockman has been slowly morphing into Cam Newton. He showed up with just the jersey and then added the neckwear.
Yep.
And now you got the lid.
Now I got the hat.
You got a lid. This
is official.
This is official?
Yeah.
Were you not able to put the wristwear on?
I needed some help.
You want some shades?
Oh, you know what? Do we have some shades? Yeah, we might have to wear.
You get some shades right
here?
Yeah,
you need shades.
So
you gotta
like it.
That matches too, because they're the.
By the way, I'm going to do this every Monday through the NFL season following a Patriots win.
Okay.
It's going to be Cam Newton Monday.
That sounds great.
Shades
sounds great.
With the color of
So
that.
I plan about 12 or 13 Mondays. I'll be dressed up.
Okay. So if you wore, say, an Alex Verdugo outfit after every Red Sox win, do you think you'd come dressed to work over the next several weeks as Cam Newton or Alex Verdugo more?
Definitely Cam Newton.
Okay.
Alex Verdugo.
The Red Sox are so bad. So bad. I mean, look, Nathan Eovaldi, great. You were awesome that one time a couple years ago in the postseason in a game we did not win, okay? That extra $70 million that John Henry decided to scratch you a check, add that to the $300 offered to Mookie. That probably would have kept Mookie around, and I'd much rather have Mookie Betts. I don't know if you've seen what he's been doing lately out here for the Dodgers. He's good at baseball. Build your franchise around that guy. Don't let him leave.
2 things. First of all,
you own Liverpool, which is like quadrupled your investment in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. You have an extra $80 million laying around in your couch cushion. Scratch the check. I will never, ever, ever forgive John Henry for letting Mookie Betts go.
For data.
You know what?
Ever.
2 things. First of all, Chris, very salient point made, less so how you're dressed. Secondly, I don't know what's going on over there. I think you need to lower your hat.
Yeah, the hat's
lower the hat a little bit.
He wears them low.
I don't want to look like Indiana Jones, Newton.
No. Secondly, Mike, I'm going to give you my famed Latte Larry's mug for you to collect his Red Sox tears.
Okay.
Okay. And this mug will contain his tears.
He's going to have a garbage can. It won't fit him.
What a day to come back from hiatus. Yankees have yet to lose to the Red Sox. 6-0.
If we sweep
6-0, baby. Fantastic. In about 16 minutes' time, we will turn to the very serious subject of what's going on in college football. The chief medical officer of the NCAA, Dr. Brian Hainline, will be on. Now, he appeared on CNN, and I found out about it Sunday morning when I woke up. It was on my Twitter feed. 12:30 in the morning Eastern time, apparently, he showed up on CNN after midnight Saturday into Sunday morning, and mentioned how the way the testing goes in the NCAA, and also in the world, I guess, what's going on certainly in America. If testing stays as it is, there's no way we could go forward with sports. And I understand that there is a new saliva test, or the one that the NBA has been trying to perfect and is using to great effect, that was created by Yale. They're using it in the bubble. The FDA has approved it. I'm wondering if Dr. Hainline thinks this is a game changer, because if testing doesn't change, then what is the SEC, the Big 12, and the ACC doing? They're part of the NCAA, right? Those three conferences? Last we checked?
Yes.
Okay. So there's that. Lots to talk about with Dr. Hainline when he joins us. In about 4 minutes time on my mark, synchronize your watches, NBCSN audience. We will be sending you to NHL Live to get you ready for the first of 4 National Hockey League playoff games right here on NBCSN.
3 of which will be overtime.
I'm not going to lie. Today kind of has a Thursday of March Madness feel to it.
Well, there's 4
the
NHL
NBA
playoff games and the NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
4 of them.
There's NBA right now, Denver and Utah in the late first quarter.
Oh, where are we right now on that?
Denver's up 25-18.
There you go. And then you got these 4 National Hockey League games. They're already in the first round, man. And this is going well.
So
Both
exciting.
bubbles going well. And again, there's word that the MLB brass, the baseball brass, are thinking of bubbling up for the postseason.
Smart.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if the NFL should say, let's bubble up in Tampa once we're through. Although, again, to talk about it now in August.
Yeah. Things between.
Who the heck knows?
Who knows what's going to happen this fall?
So, and then we'll take your phone calls as well. 844-204-RICH. Chris Brockman, or what are we calling you now? Cameron Brockman?
Cam Brockman.
What are we calling you?
Brock from Newton.
Brock from Newton.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I don't know if I really want to call you that.
Newton's a suburb of Boston.
Oh.
Work with me.
Is that, people don't know this. Or they don't care. They don't care. All I know
About
is
12 or 13 Mondays this fall. Get ready, folks. This is the look we're going with.
like instead of Pharrell, you're you're for lost. Okay.
By the way, I had been planning on doing this for weeks when we came back.
You cultivated it. It's like the Lufthansa. This is your Lufthansa.
This was my Lufthansa heist.
You've cultivated this caper?
I'm like in the shower pounding on the wall.
I want my money, Henry.
Right now, we're turning into Carbone. So let's get to our news update right here on the Rich Eisen Show.
And now, with a report of the day's news from the world of sports and entertainment, someone who is not a journalist or newsman by any definition of the word whatsoever. It's Chris Brockman.
He's got the hat on.
Don Bowie just gets. Is it the same hat?
Oh no, this is actually one of Sarah's hats.
You're wearing Sarah Tiana's hat.
By the way, she was like, "I have a whole box of hats. We could do a different one every time out." It was great. Sold.
Okay.
And thanks to my buddies, shout out to my friends. They bought me this jersey for my 40th birthday.
Oh, that's nice. Does she have any Christian Vasquez hats that could be worn during the season after a Red Sox win?
Talk about a lone bright spot. He's been mashing.
There we go. Pretty close right there. What do you think? You look better in Sarah's hat.
I look phenomenal. Hey, guys, a great story out of the NFL. Did you see this over the weekend? Alex Smith, we all know what he's been through after his devastating leg injury back in November of 2018. He has been cleared by doctors to return to football activity and his on the active PUP list for the Washington football team. His wife posted this incredible Instagram video of his family kind of celebrating the news, spraying him with champagne water. It's so cool. If you watched the E60 on Alex Smith, you know what this guy has been through. So many surgeries on that injured right leg.
Right, he almost lost
him back.
Look,
is really cool.
I hope that he can return to action, like literally go under center. What an inspiration he is And that would obviously be the ultimate for him to be able to return to action, be healthy, and be effective as a quarterback for the Washington football team. And already, the thing that I thought about when I saw that video of him with his family was what a lesson for him to just teach his kids.
Perseverance.
Do not give up. Do not take no for an answer. Do not let circumstances in life affect your desires, your abilities, because you, from within, can affect change. Beautiful. And it would be amazing if he could actually return and be the quarterback that he wants to be.
Also one of the great guys in the NFL.
Oh, no doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
No question. Although he did
not
show up on the Rich Eisen show at the Super Bowl in Minnesota the day he was traded to the Washington football team. And I asked him point blank, is there truth to the rumor you're being traded?
You know, he probably
and in the same
was
way, I feel like Tommy Lee Jones in The Fugitive. He was the Dr. Nichols who lied to me.
Yeah.
He lied to me.
Dr. Nichols, he lied.
No, I understand he had his professional reasons to do that. I don't take it personally, although I do bring it up years later. Well, just congrats to him, man.
Really awesome.
Is that a cake?
Oh, that's a cake.
Oh, cakes have gone crazy. You can get a cake.
Is that really a cake?
Yeah.
Wow. By the way, I think Susie might be out there watching right now. She's texted me during the commercial break. She's doing 15 million different things. I would love for that doll to be on top of my next birthday cake, representing me.
Are you walking wounded right now?
No, I don't need the chopsticks.
Color matches
I don't need
right
the
now.
chopsticks. I'm talking about
can
the
lend you
person.
shorts.
I'm talking about the human.
Oh, with that lettuce,
I mean, look at that hair.
That's a spitting image as far as I'm concerned.
Of you or Alex Smith?
Me.
Oh, yeah.
I would like that.
These glasses are kind of hard to see. I don't know.
All right, move on.
All right, the Washington football team made some other news this morning. Hired Jason Wright, former NFL player, as team president. He becomes the first black team president in NFL history, and he talked about it on Good Morning America today.
It's obviously very personal for me, right? Much like you, I'm a football player first. Been playing since I was 7 years old, went to Northwestern on the football scholarship, played 7 years in the league. You know, probably got fired a few more times than you, my friend, but played a decent amount of time in the league. And then became a businessman and cut my teeth in some of the best business schools. I've been helping some of the most complex and important organizations around the world transform over the last few years. So for me, it's personal, an opportunity to bring together my two worlds in a really unique way at a really unique time. And the fact that I happen to be black and the most qualified person for this is a boost. It's obviously very personal for me.
There you go. That's Jason Wright.
Yeah, talking to
All
Michael
right,
Strahan.
who's never been fired, I don't think.
I don't think so. No.
Hey, man, him and Rivera, two guys that you'd want right there at the forefront if you're revamping, which clearly the Washington football team appears to be. So,
all right, I just got a text from my
congrats
wife.
Uh-oh.
Not sure what is more ridiculous, Rich's request or your look.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So, we got that going.
So
working for us.
It's. I think we're neck and neck.
Thank you,
I think we're neck and neck. What did you say?
I don't resist any chance to hate on Brockman,
Yeah.
but I can't front. I think it's the glasses that put the look over the top. For me.
Thank you.
I think.
Great job, Mike.
Thank you.
Great assist on that.
I mean, very good, guys.
He needed shades.
It's a team effort.
Team effort. All right, a few NFL injuries today. Teams are in pads for the first time. Great seeing these cam videos on the internet. But Stephen Jones, Cowboys, said that Gerald McCoy's MRI showed a ruptured quad tendon. He's out for the season. They had feared an ACL, but it's major bad news, ruptured quad. And 49ers wide receiver Jalen Hurd, big expectations for him. He's undergoing an MRI. Fear it's a torn ACL for him.
I'm sorry to hear that, too. NFC East wide open.
Big bummer.
Christopher, NFC East wide open.
NFC East wide open. Agreed.
Wide open. I
think so?
I think it's a wide open situation. I think the Eagles
I think just about every division is wide open, don't you think? Which division is a lock? Maybe we can hit on this tomorrow, but
a division that is a lock. I mean,
Well, I mean, look, I would say the Patriots, but I wouldn't say the Patriots are a lock to win the East. They're not even the betting favorite.
The Bills are the lock to win the East.
The Bills are the favorite.
Well, plus the Jets have made all these great moves. I don't think there really is a lock. There isn't a lock anywhere. Cowboys are not a lock in the NFC East. I think
the Eagles are still right. The Eagles are Carson Wentz is still an MVP candidate.
Excuse me. I am done looking at the Cowboys roster and extrapolating that to a championship team. I'm done. I'm sorry.
They may not win the playoffs.
Last year, don't blame it on the clapper all you want. But last year is more than just the clapper. All right? And I need to see it. I am not buying the Dallas Cowboys yet. I'll buy the Eagles before the Cowboys. And I'm not just saying that.
Whoa.
What do you mean, whoa? Who won the division last year? Who won the division last year?
I know who won the division last year because I had to eat a PBJ with some hat in it.
I'm sorry.
So I remember that.
Who's going to play back end defense for the Dallas Cowboys? You know what? Have you noticed why they keep on pounding away at the defensive line? Because they need to get the quarterback fast because the back end of the defense might not be up to snuff. Hey, if you can't get the back end of your defense all tightened up, how do you fix that? You can't get the bodies for it. You go up front. You get Everson Griffin. And Gerald McCoy going down is a major issue.
Smith, though, is there.
Alden Smith is there. I know they keep on adding. I get it.
And
I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles, though. I'll tell you that.
Lastly, ESPN made it official. Steve Levy, Louis Riddick, Brian Griese going to take over for Monday Night Football this year.
I guess Steve's got to change his Twitter bio that he's that guy who calls the Bahamas Bowl. Maybe do both. Congrats to them.
Yeah.
Oh, Steve has got probably be over the moon here, man.
Yeah, props to Louis Riddick too for getting a big stage here. He's phenomenal.
Look, I don't know Louis. That's the reason why I'm throwing out with. I've known Big Bag of Leaves since I was 26 years old. Just knowing him, growing up in the same area as he grew up, you get a hitch in your throat when you start talking about looking around and being able to say that you call Monday Night Football games. All right, let's take a break here. The Chief Medical Officer of the NCAA, Dr. Brian Hainline, will join us next right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Okay. So Dr. Hainline is going to be calling in shortly here. And Chris, it's a very serious subject, but, we always used to like to have our go zig when people zag. Would it be bad if I brought up use any of this time to talk about my plantar fasciitis of my left foot?
And should you use a baseball?
Everybody's doing telehealth these days.
Yeah, so you're trying to get a diagnosis while we're going to have a serious conversation about the future of sports in 2020?
That's inappropriate, correct? Inappropriate.
Well, don't start with it. You could maybe the third question.
Rich, it would be gone already if you used my old remedy.
You know what?
I think you're right, actually, Mike.
Rolling your foot
I am
over,
telling you. I got rid of it in less than 6 months. This is what I did. In a sock. Rich, I couldn't walk. You remember the day you came in and I went, what's wrong? And you said, I was worse. I couldn't get out of bed. Mm-hmm. If I put my foot
So all I got to do is just rub my foot on top of a baseball, and within half a year, I'm as good as new.
Yeah, you can run a marathon or two. But I'm serious. It worked. He doesn't believe me.
Within half a year.
Rich, I'm telling you, if it works, Dr. Del Tufo.
Just stick to buying 33-foot boats.
Somebody tweeted me the Chiefs are a lock.
Chiefs are a lock. Yeah. It's just, oh, yeah. Come on now.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're all agreed the Chiefs are a lock?
No. Hold on a second. There's no such thing as a lock in the NFL. There just isn't.
Yeah, because you never know.
There isn't.
You lose a couple injuries.
There isn't. There's no such thing as a lock.
But if they stay as healthy
and
perfect.
Unless you're Drew. Drew Lock. Hey, man. Hey. So you got to go higher register to talk about the 2020 Broncos.
You do.
You can't just go.
They've got to prove it.
You can't just say Denver Broncos
gonna be
finished up strong.
Right.
and they are going to be a
Drafted
force to
well.
be reckoned with. You've got to go, hey, man, look at what they did.
Melvin Gordon.
Hey, they added Gordon. You got to go higher register.
Jerry Jeudy. Like,
right.
Got to go higher register. Chiefs probably the only lock we got.
How much time till we are back, sir? Okay, we've got a minute to go, and I'm greatly appreciative of this gentleman calling in, and he is on hold, and we will get to Dr. Brian Hainline in just about 30 seconds time. Again, in the middle of this interview for the NBCSN audience, we're gonna throw you to NHL Live to get you ready for Tampa Bay and Columbus, first of 4 games on NBCSN. We're back in just a second here on the Rich Eisen Show. We stream on Peacock starting 1 week from today. We're very excited about all that. Again, we've been on hiatus for the last 6 weeks. When we went on our break in late June, we were hoping to see college football played this year. Just the last week, the Big Ten and the Pac-12 postponed their season till the spring, hoping to maybe start in January. Ryan Day just said maybe we can start playing 8 games starting in January. Justin Fields, the quarterback of the Ohio State, starting a petition, however, to get the Big Ten back on the field. And parents of the Michigan Wolverine football team created a Twitter account just today to put out a statement saying that they want to sit down with the Big Ten commissioner and also the president of the school to start saying, hey, what did you base this stuff on? While the SEC, ACC, and Big 12 are still considering playing football this year. So there's a lot of stuff all over the map, literally and figuratively. And I saw this gentleman was on CNN over the weekend, and it was reported just in a couple of written spots. I did not really get to see the interview, so I just definitely wanted to chat with him myself, and I'm appreciative of him calling into the show. He is the Chief Medical Officer of the NCAA, Dr. Brian Hainline. How are you, Doc?
Well, I'm doing well. How are you, Rich?
I am doing well. So let's, I guess, jump right in here. Where do you stand on the issue of whether football should be played collegiately this fall, Dr. Hainline?
So, Rich, I stand in the same place as the advisory panel that we put together and actually 3 other medical groups, which include the Power 5 or Autonomy 5 medical advisory panel. We didn't weigh in and say play or don't play fall sports. We said these are the rigid conditions under which they must be played. And we actually included 5 reasons not to play fall sports. And so the Big Ten and then separately the Pac-12, they looked at all of that and they made their own independent decision that they didn't think they could meet those criteria. And the SEC, ACC, and Big 12, they postponed making a decision. And they said, maybe something will shift and we can meet those criteria. So that's where we are. It wasn't an NCAA top-down decision. It was an NCAA saying, these are the absolute conditions, and these are conference decisions.
Well, I guess part of the concerns of those who are petitioning the Big Ten and Justin Fields to play, and parents of Michigan, just to name just a couple of entities and people that want to play, is that when you say conditions and the conversation that you have put together, or at least the science that you put together, of not to play, that it seems to be not very well known. So what are those conditions that are out there that the Big Ten heard and the Pac-12 heard and decided to move on from football and fall sports right now?
Well, so there are a few things. One is that there has to be a testing program in place, and the minimum amount of time to get a test back, it has to be 3 days or less. And in frankly, in most parts of the country right now, it's taking 7 to 10 days to get a test result back. So that in and of itself is a national disaster and shouldn't be the case. The other is that you have to be able to look at where you are locally in terms of your hospital infrastructure. That's one other example. And if they're at a situation where they are close to imploding or are very filled, that's a reason not to be able to proceed. Another is that you have to have the ability to do absolutely good contact tracing. And in the majority of this country right now, we aren't even close to being able to do contact tracing. We can barely even find out, the 2 close contacts, let alone the 10 close contacts. And then another is you have to be able to be certain that you can fairly isolate and quarantine all individuals that have to be in that situation. And your infection rate has to be at a place that the local public health officials say, yeah, this infection rate is acceptable. And what's interesting in our country is that we don't have any national guidance. That's making it quite difficult. And in some parts of the country, the local health officials say, look, this infection rate is not acceptable. We can't be doing much of anything. And in other parts, they have a different interpretation. So, with a new pandemic, a new disease, you have people looking at the same science, but they interpret it somewhat differently. And that's actually been the case when we look at a lot of disease states in our country. It's not just a black and white, the scientists say this, it's also how we interpret what the scientists are saying.
So, Dr. Brian Hainline, the NCAA Chief Medical Officer here on the Rich Eisen Show. A lot of those criteria that you mentioned, though, it does seem that a Power 5 big-time school would be able to get the testing and get and have the health care at their ready. Now, not every school can, but some of the schools that have been canceled that want to play might be hearing this from you, Doc, and saying, we could actually do that, or we were actually doing that. Is there anything else that was put on the table that caused schools to essentially tap out on football?
Well, no, it really was, we have to also look at who's making the decisions ultimately.
Yes.
And it's the presidents of the universities. And so the Ivy League presidents, for example, before anyone else, they said, look, this just doesn't look like we're going to be able to reasonably pull this off. And it has less to do just with football as it has to do with these are football athletes that are going to be interacting with a large student body. And we have no idea if we're going to be able to keep this virus contained even within the student body, let alone with the football team. I mean, they control the football team for 4 hours a day, but then there is 20 hours a day where things are quite variable. And that's the great difficulty with this pandemic. I mean, quite honestly, when we started thinking about fall sports, we really thought we were going to be in a radically, radically different place than we are today. We had all of the projections going in the right place, and then what happened is our country just moved in completely the wrong direction, and I think the presidents are responding to that as well.
And so the testing as it currently is right now in the SEC, ACC, and Big 12, do you think satisfactory for them to eventually decide to play?
Not if it was today. There's no way anyone could if we were to play today. The very interesting thing, and I've been saying this all along, I don't think that the traditional, what we call PCR tests, so where you do the nasal or nasopharyngeal swab, you send it to a lab. I mean, we're running short of reagent in this country, and that test is taking a very long time. And in some parts of the country, it's on a priority basis, meaning that only the sick are tested. So then it's unethical to do testing in that situation. I think that what the other conferences may be holding off for is that a different type of test is going to emerge. And indeed, we saw this weekend that a new saliva direct test has come about. So this is something that the NBA was testing alongside their traditional tests, and they said, hey, the results are not perfect, but they're pretty good. And I think some other of what we call point-of-care tests, meaning you get the results back immediately, you aren't using scarce resources and other labs, I think those are going to emerge. And so if they really do emerge and they become widespread and they're available, well, that's a paradigm shift. It's a real paradigm shift.
Dr. Brian Hainline, the Chief Medical Officer of the NCAA, joining me right here on the Rich Eisen Show. And that testing is something I definitely want to dig into a little bit deeper, but if you just hang on 1 second, I do want to tell all the audience here on NBCSN that I'm sending you to NHL Live with Catherine Tappan right now. Enjoy the first of 4 NHL hockey playoff games right here on NBCSN. And I'm staying on the line with Dr. Hainline for the moment here. So when you're talking about the testing, and you're saying that these other leagues are hoping that the testing could potentially be satisfactory, do you think it's possible that the Big Ten and the Pac-12, under those circumstances, might open up again? Is that something that you're thinking is feasible?
Well, I can't really speak for them, but there's a very interesting dynamic, as you mentioned in the opening, about parents and players wanting to be part of the decision making as well, and so look, these are dynamic situations we haven't encountered in over 100 years when it comes to a very virulent and quite infectious disease. So that could be a consideration, and the other is, well, what happens when they open up their schools? I mean, they have to decide if that's going well too, because I also mentioned the other night that when we really start opening up schools, we may find that that's going so poorly that we really can't consider much of anything, let alone sport. So, but going back to your question about the testing, yeah, I think if they reopen the conversation, and again, that's their conversation to have, and the testing paradigm has shifted that radically, yeah, that's a real game changer.
Now, another thing that we've heard in reporting, Dr. Hainline, is that the conversation and the topic of myocarditis, if I'm pronouncing that correct,
yes,
that the issue involving the heart and the inflammation of the heart muscles, that it can hit anybody due to COVID-19. We're seeing what Eduardo Rodriguez, right, Chris, of the Boston Red Sox.
Correct.
He is suffering from it. He is. Member of the Indiana football team, I think a freshman on the Indiana football team is dealing with it. What can you tell fans about this? Because we're hearing so much about this, and apparently this was the, if you will, sealer, the game-changing sealer of the decision for the Big Ten and Pac-12 commissioners to make their decision.
Well, so we've known about the possibility of myocarditis really for more than 2 months, close to 2.5 months, and we've been talking about it. And now there are about a dozen case reports of college athletes who have developed this. So going back, I can tell you, I've been in sports medicine a while. Even 30 years ago, I remember speaking at a tennis conference for elite tennis players, and there were a group of scientists saying that if you have any symptomatic viral syndrome, you should not be working out because there's a chance of a myocarditis with any virus. But it just so happens that in this particular coronavirus, that for COVID-19, that the myocarditis is probably more severe. But we also worked with a group of cardiologists from the American College of Cardiology and the American Medical Society for Sports Medicine, and we developed a protocol for evaluating this. And so essentially, any athlete who has had COVID-19 undergoes a 3-part evaluation, and so that's an expense. It's an added expense, but you can actually assess for myocarditis, and of course, if you have it, then the athlete sits out. And if you don't, well, then the athlete is clear. So this is what the professional sports have been doing, and we've also developed a similar protocol. So, yes, it's a complication, and it can be assessed for.
And so today, the SEC is going to start training, and it's not just football, too, this fall, Doctor. It's, Midnight Madness is just about, 6 weeks around the corner. Usually middle of October is when college basketball programs begin to get back. What's the improvement in testing we need to see? That is there a problem even with you advocating for the start of college basketball here?
Well, I think college basketball is an entirely separate conversation, and the one thing that makes basketball different from football is the frequency of the games, and so it's not so much just the practice; it's really when you're playing against another team. So you may do everything right. You have a permeable bubble, and you don't want some other team coming in and all of a sudden infecting your team. So basketball, that makes it even more challenging because there are so many games. And so for basketball to proceed, there definitely would have to be a real shift in testing. But we can see that we're moving in that direction. So I would just say that there's a real sense of optimism and the ability to do diagnostic testing and get the results within a day. We just aren't there today. That's the problem.
So what based on your knowledge and being, I imagine, at the cutting edge of this in the forefront, and your phone, I mean, I talked to Dr. Alan Sills of the NFL, and, you know, his phone rings like crazy when it comes to people saying, I got this test, I got that test. Your phone must be ringing crazy too. So what can you tell people about what you know about testing therapeutics and how this can actually begin to change your belief on whether sports can actually exist in our society currently?
Well, and I don't think it's even for sports. I think, you know, so you probably have read recently about the paper test. And so, you know, before you go on an airplane, before you go on a restaurant, I mean, until we have a vaccine, if you can get a rapid test and you say, hey, you know, you want to come into my restaurant? We're going to test you right now. I mean, this is what we probably are going to need to do as a society until we really are certain that we have an effective treatment or a vaccine. And most of us who have really been in the trenches and working with all these individuals, we think that this is going to emerge by the fall. So we already have the saliva direct test that was approved by the FDA that the NBA helped to sponsor with their research. So that's going to be available in the next several weeks. We have antigen tests that are definitely going to be available in the fall, and there we can get up to 50 tests in an hour. So it's all happening. It's just that if someone were to say, should we be playing competitive sports today based on where we are? Well, maybe we can train, but we shouldn't be playing games today because the testing is still, I mean, quite frankly, it's more archaic. I mean, when you really think about it, in our country and the most developed country in the world, that we're waiting 10 days to get a test, it's just exceptionally disappointing, to say the least.
I agree with you, Dr. Hainline. You know, just a couple minutes left with you. I want to ask you point blank, do you think there's going to be college football in the FCC, Big 12, and ACC this fall? Do you think that?
Oh, boy. Well, look, I think there is that possibility. I mean, we've always said, or at least, you know, Dr. Emmert and the president of the NCAA and myself, yeah, it's possible. It's an exceptionally narrow path. And there's treacherous waters on either side of that narrow path. But if everything aligned perfectly, it is a possibility.
Well, you mentioned Dr. Emmert, and I want to give you an opportunity to respond. I'm sure you might have heard the criticism that the NCAA has received in the last week to 10 days on this subject alone. That in the same way that you say that there's no national strategy on testing and battling this virus writ large, many people would say that's the same thing that's going on right now in college athletics, Dr. Hainline, that right now you're just letting all the localities and municipalities and states figure it out for themselves and not come down from the top down and say there is no football, there is no sports because of X, Y, and Z. How do you respond to something like that?
Yeah, and I think it's a very fair question, and what is not appreciated really behind the scenes is that when we put out our last document, which actually is a mandate, so every school must follow it, and within that mandate, every athlete has the right to opt out of sport, and he still or she maintains their scholarship and their eligibility. It wasn't just the NCAA that put this document out. It actually was endorsed by the National Medical Association, our advisory panel, the American Medical Society for Sports Medicine, the Power 5 Medical Advisory Panel, and the Committee on Competitive Safeguards. And so you have this very, very large group of experts. They all weighed in and said, the decision is not whether to play fall sports or not. The decision is this is what must take place to play these fall sports. And so with that in mind and looking at the wide variability across our country, we made the collective decision that that really is a conference-by-conference decision. They know what they must follow, except when it comes to national championships. And so we did make the decision on national championships. You know, regrettably, we had to decide to cancel all the fall championships. But I think everyone knows, or most everyone knows, that we control 90 championships. There's one that we don't control, and that's the college football playoff. What we do control in the college football playoff is what the student athletes must undergo, and so the mandates are for the student athletes' health and safety, so they must be followed. But ultimately, just because of historical quirks, the college football playoff is also decided by the conferences.
Dr. Hainline, I really appreciate the time, and so many fans just want to know. Again, it just seems that maybe a document of exactly what you laid out for all of these conferences medically and the science and protocols, again, just putting it all out there and saying this is what we have told all the conferences, and maybe that is necessary. Would you?
Oh, absolutely, and we actually have put that out there,
Okay.
and so anyone can access it. It's ncaa.org/SSI.
Okay.
And this document is there along with the frequently asked questions. And so we put a wide release out there. Sometimes it
takes a
doesn't
while.
hit everyone.
Well, hey,
but,
look, I've been on hiatus. Maybe that's where I missed it. But again, it just to see parents sending creating Twitter addresses to say, hey, Kevin Warren, hey, Dr. Schlissel, we need to meet. You need to tell us what you've been told. And you're saying this document is there for everybody to be aware of what the president of Michigan and the Big Ten commissioner have been told.
It's there, and actually it's the third document that we put out in this series. And actually for the last 20 weeks, we've been discussing this on what's called a social series weekly so that everyone can hear our thought processes. But sometimes it takes a crisis for everyone to then say, hell yeah, that's where it is, or now I find it, because, everyone's busy doing other things or what have you. But we really have tried our best to socialize this and make it widely available to everyone. And I love the feedback, when people read it, because, look, we're all trying to figure this out. It's almost like one day at a time.
I bet. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. And look for my call again. I've definitely, obviously, this is going to be changing and hopefully for the better. And we can get you back on.
Okay, well, thank you for the opportunity.
You bet. You got it. Thank you.
All right.
That's
Okay.
Dr.
All right.
Brian Hainline, the Chief Medical Officer of the NCAA. So go check it out, I guess. Go check out what everyone's been told. You see what I'm saying? Like it's out there, but parents are like, we need to know what you've been told.
Right.
Because a lot of the criteria of what he said, the testing needs to be there and the tracing needs to be there, and then the facilities need to be there. Not every school has the money to do it. I think the Blue Bloods do. Don't you think Clemson and Alabama could probably scrounge the cash together to figure out how to test people?
They could take it out of Dabo's check.
But again, the number of people who might not be social distancing when they can. I understand sometimes you got to go to work to make ends meet.
Yep.
You're
My
600.
nephew just went to school up in upstate New
I
York.
get it. I totally understand
crazy.
it, and I hope that if you're not feeling well, you don't go to work. But sometimes you got to put yourself out there and risk it. I get it. I totally understand it. People out there, I don't want to wear a mask. I can't breathe in the mask. Clint Frazier damn near hit for the cycle wearing a mask the other day, by the way. So if you want college football, do the hard work, which isn't so hard to put a piece of cloth over your face and be social distant and do whatever you can do in your daily life and your family and do it. But if you're not doing that and you're willfully not doing that and you're saying, I want Alabama versus LSU, well, you didn't do the work. And the whole country's got to do the work together to get that. It's a functioning society. College sports in particular is the result of a functioning society, a healthy, functioning society. Because college sports, maybe we'll have Billis on next week because a lot of this also had to do with players basically saying, we're going to band together and figure this thing out about what we want out of the protocols. And all of a sudden it's like, well, hey, I think the protocols are not good enough, and so we're done. A lot of folks out there thinking nipping the unionizing of players in the bud is part of the reason why two conferences decided to not wait like other ones to see if circumstances on the ground change enough to provide the testing and contact tracing and the social distancing and the health care that Dr. Hainline said needs to be met. I'm glad he said it was a fair question. What I said at the very end there, which is like, hey, there's no national strategy in the United States, but there's no national strategy in the NCAA. And he just explained why they decided to do it on a conference-by-conference basis. I think the answer is that, the SEC is going to come you-know-what or high water. But we'll see. Greg Sankey came on the other day. He was one of our last guests in June. Commissioner of the SEC saying, we're going to monitor this, and they're on it every day. And they're announcing their schedule tonight. I just want them to be healthy because I'll tell you what, if I think they're healthy, I am all over Alabama and LSU. I'd love it. But if you ask me right now, I think Trevor Lawrence has played his last down at Clemson. I think Justin Fields has played his last down at The Ohio State. And any kid that is worth his National Football League salt has played their last down for their school.
Even if their teams play this year, why would they play?
Well, I mean, why would they play? Because that's what they do. They want to play, and they love to play. I just don't think they're going to end up playing. I think the same issues that the Big Ten saw and the Pac-12 saw, I don't think anything's going to appreciably change in the manner in which Dr. Hainline said needs to be changed for these conferences to say yes. 844-204-RICH, number to dial here on the Rich Eisen Show. We're back to wrap up our first show back in a moment. All right, everybody. We haven't even hit our poll question in a while, huh? We haven't done that in a while.
Oh, we haven't. Let's see.
Talking to me?
By the way, TJ, how do you like your setup over there? Do you like it?
I'm getting used to it. It's
what?
I'm not used to this side of the studio because I've always been over there.
I know you, but you've been in a spot that is not accessible by a camera.
When you're facing the wall,
you're facing the wall.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I just simply said that this is new for me, and I'm taking it all in.
It's great. You got a good. You're now into the show.
Yeah, before to get this view, I used to have to stand outside and look through the window like I was.
By the way,
table scraps.
Let's use this moment save us some time in our post-show conversation. Don Bowie, do you think we need to tighten up TJ's shot at all?
Yeah.
Do we need to zoom in a little bit? I mean,
yeah, we don't.
Yeah, the putting is the reason why we got two holes there.
Which the live chat was they're very into the putting. So I can always zoom in when we're done putting.
By the way, you made a 4 or 5 footer with a baseball bat and then missed a 2-incher with a baseball bat, if I'm not mistaken. The second and third hours opened up with that respectively.
At that point, I'd already shown what I could do with the bat. I had nothing else to prove. I was.
Yeah. By the way, did our putters walk off? Do you not have a putter over there? Why are you using a bat?
No, they're over there.
No. His is gone.
What do you mean, no?
My putter that used to be over there is no longer there.
We discovered that the other day.
We discovered it on Friday when we came in.
Did somebody 5-finger discount a putter? I mean, when we're not here?
They're putter thieves.
Nobody's taking
Nobody touched anything. Honestly, my desk is the way I left it.
So was mine.
Mine's clean.
It's around here somewhere.
Brockman just.
I don't know. I just feel like what I did with the baseball bat puts me on like a Harold Varner level now, and pretty soon Nike should be calling. And,
I love watching him play. By the way, I think he's got a really fun game. Harold Varner. You should get him on the show. The third.
Don't disrespect the third. Yes.
Okay. Very good.
Did you guys watch the golf yesterday?
Yeah, I did not. I did one thing yesterday that I have not done in over 40 years.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Should I say here or should I wait?
Batting cage?
Oh, come on. I've done a batting cage in the last 40 years.
That's true. Billy Horschel has a real Patrick Bateman American Psycho look going on.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Huh. I hadn't seen that. I didn't notice that.
40 years you haven't done it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what Rich wouldn't have done in 40 years. Swim? No, you swim?
You do look ridiculous, by the way.
No, he looks great. I love the glasses.
Thank
make
you,
it.
Mike.
You needed the glasses.
Mike, how much longer till we're gone? Because we're only gone. Oh, he's totally lost
These
it.
glasses
I
are
don't
also
time the things.
really
Come on.
dark.
What do you mean don't time the things?
Don't time
All right,
it.
maybe we could. So we could be back on the Mightier 1090 right now. We don't even know.
He might replace his hook.
Okay, careful, careful.
Hey, did you record that?
I don't know
and
why
save it
that
as
He
a
has no
drop?
idea if we're back. All right, let's treat it as if we're
That was
back.
funny.
Are we back?
We're back.
Okay, we're back. Welcome back. Hopefully everybody listened to today on the Mightier 1090. We say hello. By the way, this is Mightier 1090. When I moved out here to Southern California, Hacksaw Hamilton was a must listen to on the way home, and he would freak me out. He would freak me out because we on NFL Network did not have, when we launched in 2003, we did not have a news desk. We didn't have anybody. You know what we did? We Google Newsed NFL before we left. We finished up Total Access to make sure stuff didn't happen.
Yeah. Because we recorded the
teams
show.
weren't calling us, and we weren't calling teams. We had just started. We had no operation of knowing what was going on. There was no, deep end of the pool like we're in from 12 to 3 every day. There was no, pardon the interruption, I don't even know if that was on yet. I don't think so.
PTI started in 2001.
Okay, so that was up and running. So we would just basically be, before we left, Google News, NFL. So I would drive home and I would listen to the Mighty 1090 at the time with Hacksaw Hamilton, Pacoima, I want to hear from you.
React to me.
Poway, okay?
Rancho.
And he would always
San
say,
Margarita.
he would always go, whenever somebody would call in Newsmaker line, he would call a Newsmaker line. Great stuff. And so he would basically say, breaking news out of the NFL. And I would grip my wheel at 10 and 2. I remember I'd be, right in front of the Fox lot on Pico. I'd like, do I have to turn around and go back down, go back down to NFL Network? And he would just break news on anything. Breaking news, Miami Dolphins have a new assistant trainer. New assistant general manager. And I'll be like, oh, God, I can just go home now.
That's orange and white.
Show me your lightning bolt.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Run now. So to be on the Mightier 1090 as we are today, being part of the reboot as we restart our show, pretty cool.
So you're wondering how far this signal goes, Rich. It does not go to the North Pole, sadly.
Okay.
It does go up to about Santa Barbara.
Fantastic. I like it. Working on it.
So it's
and just to
50,000
describe
watts,
to everybody in the Mightier 1090, Chris Brockman's glasses that he is wearing, they're at a bad angle. Are you aware that they're not on right?
No, but that's because they kind of be.
Instead of you
Well,
looking
Mike's
like
face is broken, and it's like they're lopsided.
instead of looking like Cam Newton, you look like you're about to rob the 2 o'clock to Yuma.
Not even the 310?
Yeah, there you go.
He's close.
All right. Yeah, I think.
Get ready.
I mean, if we're going, who wears it better? I think you lose.
Well, obviously.
I think you lose. The
I got
who wears
some
it
good
better.
glasses for you, Brocco, for the season too.
It's a long season. I'm going to have anywhere between 10 and 14 of these Mondays.
Oh, my gosh.
That I'll be able to dress up.
TJ
so
and I
just
got
get
him
ready.
covered for glasses.
I'm going to get some jorts, some suspenders.
Oh, this is.
We're going all out.
Though.
We're going all out.
TJ and I can get you some
scarves,
jackets. I know where to get.
More bracelets.
Let me sneak in Don in Clearwater, Florida, real quick here. He's been holding on forever. What's up, Don?
Well, a very interesting show, anyway.
I appreciate it, Don. I hope.
My point is back to baseball.
Okay.
I'm glad the Red Sox were mentioned in the conversation at one time. But Major League Baseball, when they started up again,
yes,
they took the minor leagues' ideas of 2 7-inning games, a designated runner at second base in the 10th inning. But the big one, and it's been in the minor leagues for over 5 years now, because I've been in Florida for 5 years and connected with baseball as an umpire for many in minor league. They didn't put in the 20-second clock. And every minor league had a clock. Maybe it was 15 minutes to 15 seconds.
Did you like it?
Maybe 20.
Did you like it?
It's definitely better. I definitely liked it.
Maybe they should do that. Maybe they should do.
The pitches They should.
But basically, Don, though, and I'm picking up on your voice and what you mentioned, Red Sox, and I hear the accent. Maybe the 20-second clock will not make the Red Sox games go any quicker, unfortunately. All right?
It probably would.
Time would still stand still.
The way they're playing.
Take care of yourself, Don.
Just cancel.
Did you hear that?
Did
Did you hear say statted? Did you see he said statted?
Yeah, like Tom Brady.
Hey man, if I didn't read the newspapers, I'd have thought Whitey Bulger just called in.
He lived around the corner from me in Santa Monica.
Did he really?
Literally from here to that other building. He used to walk the dog past my place. I had no idea.
That's not a metaphor for anything, is it?
He would
not
walk,
like Bruce Smith.
He walked the girlfriend or whatever. He had his dog. He walked him every day. I could have made $1 million.
You got the final poll results over there. Chris Brockman on Robert De Niro's birthday, the character that people would least want him to want to be.
77 years young for Robert De Niro. Max Cady of Cape Fear, 50%.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I didn't like
Jimmy Conway, 20%.
Cape Fear was not.
That was a weird movie.
Look at that. Oh, it's 13 years anniversary for Superbad today, too.
So
McLovin's been 13 years old.
34?
Wow.
No, because he was 25, so he was 38.
Andrew Perloff is in his. Oh, that's not right. Where did that photograph come from? Where did that photograph come from?
That is amazing. Where?
That is my bar mitzvah photograph.
I got your back after playing that bar mitzvah video.
That is no wonder John's like gets a Superbad. Keep mentioning Superbad.
Oh, yeah.
Mick DJ, you got Brockman? Do we at least have Brockmans?
Oh.
Let's see if Brockmans are up there. Don switching back and forth.
My mom probably posted some photos.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my God.
Shady.
Dueling Banjo Brockman. Wow. Really play us out.
Wow.